Picture the Sahara at dawn. The first rays of sunlight pierce the horizon, casting long shadows across endless dunes. The air is still, carrying only the whisper of sand against stone. In this vast ocean of silence, 3 monuments rise like ancient sentinels, their limestone faces weathered by millennia of wind and time. The Great Pyramids of Giza. For over 4,000 years, they have stood here, their massive forms defying the desert's relentless hunger. Tourists flock to witness their grandeur. Archaeologists measure their angles. Historians recite their stories. But beneath the familiar narrative lies a question that haunts the edges of conventional wisdom. What if these monuments were never built by the Egyptians at all? The thought seems impossible at first. Every textbook, every documentary, every guided tour speaks with certainty about pharaohs and workers, about ramps and copper tools, about a civilization that achieved the impossible through sheer determination. Yet the pyramids themselves whisper different stories to those who listen carefully. Stand at the base of the Great Pyramid as the sun sets behind it. Feel the weight of its 2.3 million stone blocks pressing down into the bedrock. Each block weighs as much as a modern car. Some weigh 15 times more. The precision of their placement defies easy explanation. The alignment with cardinal directions surpasses what ancient instruments should have achieved. The desert wind carries questions across the centuries. How did Bronze Age people move stones that modern cranes struggle with? Why do these monuments align so perfectly with distant stars? What purpose did they truly serve in this remote corner of an ancient world? Perhaps the most unsettling question of all. What if the Egyptians simply inherited these monuments from someone else entirely? The possibility hangs in the air like desert heat, shimmering with implications that stretch far beyond archaeology. If the pyramids predate the pharaohs, then human civilization is older than we imagine. Our ancestors were more sophisticated than we believe. And somewhere in the mists of prehistory, a forgotten people achieved something extraordinary, then vanished, leaving only stone witnesses to their existence. The Great Pyramid rises 481 feet into the clear desert sky. Its base covers 13 acres. It contains enough stone to build a wall around France. For nearly 4 millennia, it was the tallest structure on Earth. Yet no contemporary Egyptian text describes its construction. No reliefs show its building. No papyrus documents its planning. The silence is deafening. Modern Egypt emerged from the shadow of these monuments, not the other way around. The ancient Egyptians themselves spoke of the pyramids with reverence bordering on mystery. They called this place sacred. They built their own pyramids nearby, crude imitations that pale beside the originals. Perhaps they too wondered who had come before them. As darkness falls over Giza, the pyramids seem to pulse with ancient secrets. Satellite images reveal internal chambers that have never been opened. Ground-penetrating radar detects voids that shouldn't exist. Cosmic ray detectors map hidden passages leading nowhere and everywhere at once. The orthodox story feels increasingly fragile when held against these massive stones. Perhaps it's time to listen to what the desert has been whispering all along. Perhaps it's time to consider that the greatest monuments ever built might be the work of a civilization we've forgotten entirely. The wind picks up, carrying sand across the plateau. In the distance, Cairo's lights twinkle like earthbound stars. But here, in the shadow of these timeless monuments, a different kind of illumination beckons. The kind that comes from questioning everything we think we know about the past. Long before the whispers of doubt began to circulate, a confident narrative took root in the halls of academia. According to mainstream Egyptology, the story of the Great Pyramid begins around 2580 BCE, during Egypt's 4th dynasty. The protagonist of this tale is Pharaoh Khufu, known to the Greeks as Cheops, a ruler whose ambition supposedly matched his monument. The official account unfolds like a well-rehearsed performance. Khufu, ascending to the throne of a unified Egypt, envisioned a tomb that would ensure his eternal glory. He commanded the royal architects to design a pyramid larger than any built before. The location chosen was the Giza Plateau, a limestone outcrop overlooking the Nile's fertile valley. According to this narrative, construction began with careful planning. Teams of surveyors mapped the site. Engineers calculated angles and proportions. The base was leveled with remarkable precision, varying by less than an inch across its vast expanse. This achievement alone demonstrates the mathematical sophistication of Old Kingdom Egypt, scholars assert. The workforce required for such an undertaking would have been immense. Egyptologists estimate that 20,000 laborers toiled on the pyramid during the annual flood season, when agricultural work ceased and farmers became available for royal projects. These weren't slaves, the modern interpretation insists, but paid workers who received rations of bread, beer, and onions. Nearby archaeological excavations have uncovered workers' villages, complete with dormitories, bakeries, and breweries. Medical examinations of skeletal remains reveal the toll of heavy labor. Worn joints, compressed vertebrae, and broken bones that healed while the workers continued their tasks. These discoveries paint a picture of organized, large-scale construction involving thousands of dedicated individuals. The stones themselves came from various sources, according to Orthodox archaeology. The bulk of the pyramid consists of local limestone, quarried from the Giza Plateau itself. Evidence of ancient quarry marks and extraction techniques can still be observed in the surrounding bedrock. The inner chambers feature harder limestone brought from quarries across the Nile at Tura. The King's Chamber showcases massive granite blocks transported over 500 miles from Aswan, far to the south. Transportation methods, while impressive, fall within the technological capabilities of the time. Teams of workers dragged stone blocks on wooden sledges, sometimes assisted by rollers. Ramps of various designs carried materials to growing heights. Some scholars propose straight ramps, others favor spiral configurations wrapping around the pyramid's sides. Recent discoveries of ramp remnants at other pyramid sites support these theories. The construction timeline spans approximately 20 years, from initial planning to final completion. This schedule requires placing one stone block every 2 minutes during daylight hours, a pace that seems impossible until one considers the massive workforce and sophisticated organization involved. Multiple teams worked simultaneously on different sections, their efforts coordinated by experienced foremen and architects. Tools of the period included copper chisels, wooden levers, and rope systems for moving heavy stones. Dolerite pounders shaped the hardest granite surfaces. Sand and water served as abrasives for precision cutting. Fire and water sometimes split stubborn stones through thermal shock. These techniques, while labor-intensive, could achieve the precision observed in the finished monument. The pyramid's internal layout follows a complex but comprehensible plan. The descending passage leads to an unfinished chamber carved into the bedrock below. An ascending passage branches upward, leading to the Queen's Chamber, and ultimately, the King's Chamber high within the pyramid's core. A mysterious shaft known as the Grand Gallery connects these upper chambers, its corbelled ceiling representing an architectural masterpiece. This orthodox narrative provides answers for most questions about the pyramid's construction. It places the monument firmly within the context of pharaonic Egypt, supported by hieroglyphic inscriptions found in nearby pyramids and temples. The technology employed, while impressive, remains within the realm of Bronze Age capabilities, enhanced by exceptional organization and unwavering royal authority. Yet even as this confident story established itself in textbooks and museums worldwide, certain details refused to fit neatly within its framework. The mathematical precision exceeded what contemporary instruments should have achieved. The astronomical alignments suggested knowledge beyond the accepted scope of ancient astronomy. The absence of contemporary construction records remained puzzling. Nevertheless, the official story held firm. Khufu built his pyramid through human ingenuity, backbreaking labor, and the unified effort of a sophisticated civilization. The monument stood as testament to what ancient peoples could achieve when led by vision and sustained by resources. This narrative would reign unchallenged for decades, taught in universities and proclaimed in documentaries. But monuments as massive as the Great Pyramid cast long shadows, and within those shadows, questions began to multiply like seeds in fertile soil. As the 20th century progressed, something peculiar began to happen. The more scientists studied the Great Pyramid, the more anomalies they discovered. What had once seemed like a straightforward example of ancient engineering began to reveal complexities that strained the orthodox narrative to its breaking point. The precision was the first crack to appear. Modern surveys using laser technology revealed that the pyramid's base deviates from perfect level by less than 1 inch across its entire 755-foot width. The alignment with true north varies by only 3/60th of a degree. Such accuracy challenges our assumptions about ancient surveying capabilities. Even today, achieving this level of precision across such a vast structure would require sophisticated instruments and careful calculation. The stones themselves presented their own mysteries. Each limestone block fits so tightly against its neighbors that a knife blade cannot slide between them. No mortar fills these joints. The stones simply lock together with mechanical precision. This level of craftsmanship appears throughout the pyramid's 2.3 million blocks, suggesting a consistency of skill that seems impossible to maintain across decades of construction involving thousands of workers. The granite elements proved even more puzzling. The king's chamber contains massive granite beams, each weighing up to 70 tons. These were somehow maneuvered through narrow passages and positioned with millimeter accuracy. The stone shows no chisel marks, suggesting cutting techniques that remain unclear. Some surfaces display a polish that approaches mirror quality, achieved through methods that conventional archaeology struggles to explain. Mathematical anomalies multiplied under scrutiny. The pyramid's dimensions encode relationships that shouldn't have been known to Bronze Age builders. The ratio between the pyramid's height and base perimeter equals pi divided by 2, accurate to several decimal places. The golden ratio appears in various proportions throughout the structure. These mathematical constants were supposedly unknown until millennia later. The absence of contemporary records became increasingly troubling. Despite the massive undertaking that orthodox theory demands, no papyrus describes the pyramid's construction. No wall reliefs depict its building. No contemporary inscriptions identify Khufu as its builder. The only evidence linking Khufu to the pyramid consists of graffiti discovered in relieving chambers above the king's chamber, graffiti that some scholars suggest may have been forged by their 19th century discoverer. Tool marks throughout the pyramid raised additional questions. Many stones show signs of cutting techniques that shouldn't have existed in the Bronze Age. Perfectly straight cuts appear in granite surfaces. Circular holes drilled through stone display spiral grooves, suggesting rapid rotation speeds beyond hand tool capabilities. Some passages feature walls so smooth they appear machine polished. The pyramid's orientation presented another puzzle. Its sides align almost perfectly with the cardinal directions, an achievement requiring astronomical knowledge and surveying skills of the highest order. The margin of error is so small that some researchers question whether it could have been achieved accidentally, suggesting deliberate precision for purposes beyond mere tomb construction. Internal chambers revealed their own anomalies. The king's chamber displays acoustic properties that seem intentionally designed. Sounds resonate at specific frequencies. The chamber's dimensions relate to musical intervals. These characteristics suggest purposes beyond simple burial, hinting at functions that orthodox Egyptology doesn't address. Recent technological investigations have deepened the mystery. Wand detection systems reveal large voids within the pyramid that don't appear on any ancient plan. Ground-penetrating radar detects passage networks that seem to extend beyond the known layout. Thermal imaging shows temperature variations that suggest hidden chambers. These discoveries imply that even our modern understanding of the pyramid's structure remains incomplete. The logistics of construction grew more problematic under detailed analysis. Moving 20-ton blocks up increasingly steep ramps would have required enormous amounts of material for the ramps themselves. Some calculations suggest that the ramps would have contained more stone than the pyramid itself. The coordination required to manage thousands of workers moving millions of stones with Bronze Age tools seems almost superhuman. Contemporary structures from the same period pale in comparison to the Great Pyramid's sophistication. Other 4th Dynasty pyramids, supposedly built by the same civilization using the same techniques, show markedly inferior craftsmanship. Bent angles, rough stonework, and structural failures characterize these later attempts. Why would a civilization capable of the Great Pyramid's perfection suddenly lose its skills? The weathering patterns on the pyramid's casing stones, where they survive, suggest exposure to water erosion rather than wind and sand. This implies a wetter climate than has existed in Egypt during recorded history. The last time the region experienced such conditions was over 10,000 years ago, long before the pharaohs. Each new technology applied to studying the pyramid revealed fresh anomalies. Seismic surveys detected underground structures. Electromagnetic scans revealed metallic objects embedded within the stones. Chemical analysis of the mortar produced dates that didn't match the accepted construction timeline. Every answer seemed to generate 3 new questions. The cracks in the narrative were becoming chasms. What had begun as minor inconsistencies in the orthodox story now threatened its very foundation. The pyramid wasn't behaving like a Bronze Age monument should. Its precision, its mathematical relationships, its construction techniques, and its very preservation suggested something far more sophisticated than conventional archaeology could accommodate. The monument itself seemed to be arguing against its assigned place in history, demanding recognition as something altogether more extraordinary than even its immense size suggested. On a clear night at Giza, when the lights of Cairo fade into the distance, the star-filled sky reveals patterns that have remained constant for millennia. Among these celestial arrangements, 3 stars in particular catch the eye: the belt of Orion, blazing in the southern sky like distant diamonds. Their configuration 2 stars, closely aligned with a third slightly offset, creates an unmistakable pattern that has guided navigators and inspired storytellers across cultures. In 1994, author Robert Bauval made an observation that would forever change how we view the pyramids at Giza. The 3 pyramids, when seen from above, mirror precisely the arrangement of Orion's belt stars. The Great Pyramid corresponds to Alnitak, the leftmost star. The second pyramid aligns with Alnilam in the center. The smallest pyramid matches Mintaka on the right, even replicating the slight offset that characterizes this star's position. This correlation might be dismissed as coincidence, but the precision goes deeper. Using computer models to trace stellar positions backward through time, researchers discovered that around 10,500 BCE, Orion's belt would have appeared exactly as the pyramids are arranged on the ground. The celestial and terrestrial patterns achieve perfect correspondence at that specific moment in astronomical history. The implications ripple outward like stones thrown into still water. If the pyramids were designed to mirror Orion's belt, then their builders possessed sophisticated knowledge of astronomy and precession. The slow wobble of Earth's axis that causes star positions to shift over millennia. This knowledge supposedly didn't develop until much later in human history, yet the stone alignment suggests otherwise. Ancient Egyptian texts refer to Orion as the soul of Osiris, god of the afterlife and resurrection. The constellation held profound religious significance, associated with the pharaoh's journey to eternal life. But if the pyramid alignment was intentional, it implies the monuments served purposes beyond simple burial. functions tied to cosmic cycles and stellar observations that we're only beginning to understand. The astronomical alignments extend beyond Orion. The pyramid's passages point toward specific stars at particular times. The descending passage aligns with the pole star as it appeared in ancient times. The ascending passage points toward the star Thuban, which served as the North Star during the pyramid's supposed construction period. These alignments weren't random. They represented deliberate choices made by builders who understood celestial mechanics. The precision required for such alignments challenges conventional assumptions about ancient capabilities. Pointing passages toward specific stars demands accurate knowledge of stellar positions, Earth's rotation, and the effects of atmospheric refraction. The builders would have needed instruments capable of measurements accurate to fractions of degrees, maintained over years of construction, while the massive structure rose around them. Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, adds another layer to the astronomical puzzle. This star held special significance for ancient Egyptians, who tracked its heliacal rising to predict the Nile's annual flood. The pyramid complex seems designed to incorporate Sirius observations, with various passages and chambers oriented to capture the star's light at specific times of year. The mathematical relationships between the pyramids and their celestial counterparts reveal even deeper knowledge. The relative sizes of the three pyramids don't perfectly match the brightness of their corresponding stars, but they do reflect more subtle astronomical relationships. The builders seem to have encoded multiple layers of stellar information into their stone arrangements. Recent discoveries have expanded the astronomical connections. The Sphinx, guarding the pyramid complex, faces due east toward the point where the sun rises at the spring equinox. During the same epoch, when Orion's belt matched the pyramid arrangement, the constellation Leo would have risen directly in line with the Sphinx's gaze. The lion-bodied monument faces its celestial counterpart across the vast gulf of space and time. Computer simulations reveal that this perfect astronomical alignment occurs only once every 26,000 years, during a complete cycle of precession. The builders apparently chose to commemorate this cosmic moment in stone, creating monuments that would preserve the memory of specific stellar positions for all eternity. Such foresight implies planning on a scale that exceeds anything attributed to Bronze Age civilizations. The pyramid complex begins to resemble a vast astronomical instrument designed to capture and preserve knowledge of celestial cycles. The monuments don't just point toward stars, they embody them, translating ethereal patterns into permanent stone. The desert plateau becomes a mirror of the night sky, reflecting cosmic arrangements in terrestrial form. This stellar correlation extends beyond Giza. Other pyramid sites throughout Egypt show similar astronomical alignments, suggesting that an entire civilization organized itself according to celestial patterns. The relationship between heaven and earth wasn't metaphorical for these builders. It was literal, encoded in the very stones they carved, and positioned with such precision. The question becomes unavoidable. What kind of society possesses such advanced astronomical knowledge while remaining capable of moving millions of massive stones with Bronze Age tools? The conventional timeline places the pyramids within a narrow window of Egyptian history. Yet the astronomical evidence suggests planning and execution spanning vast periods of time. The stars themselves become witnesses to the pyramid's true age. Unlike human records, which can be lost or falsified, celestial mechanics follow unchanging laws. The stellar alignments speak with mathematical certainty about when these monuments were planned and why they point where they do. As modern instruments map the pyramid complex with increasing precision, new astronomical relationships continue to emerge. The monuments seem designed to function as a cosmic calendar, tracking not just individual stars, but entire stellar cycles. They preserve in stone the memory of astronomical events that won't repeat for tens of thousands of years. The desert sky that once guided the pyramid builders continues to wheel overhead, carrying the same stellar patterns that inspired these magnificent monuments. But now those patterns raise questions that challenge everything we thought we knew about ancient capabilities and forgotten civilizations. Dr. Mehdi Tayyubi stared at the computer screen in disbelief. The data streaming from the cosmic ray detectors couldn't be wrong. The instruments had been calibrated multiple times. Yet what they revealed inside the Great Pyramid challenged everything archaeologists thought they knew about the monument's internal structure. It was November 2017, and the Scan Pyramids project had been using Muon tomography to peer inside the pyramid's massive stone bulk. Muons, subatomic particles created when cosmic rays strike Earth's upper atmosphere, can penetrate solid rock but are absorbed in predictable patterns. By measuring how these particles passed through the pyramid, scientists could create three-dimensional images of internal structures without disturbing a single stone. The discovery started as an anomaly. The detectors consistently showed empty space where solid stone should exist, a void roughly the size of a passenger jet, hidden deep within the pyramid's core. At first, the team suspected equipment malfunction. Cosmic ray detection is delicate work, subject to interference and false readings. But multiple detector arrays in different locations all reported the same impossible void. The chamber, dubbed the Big Void by the international research team, stretched for at least 100 feet along the pyramid's internal axis. It sat directly above the Grand Gallery, the mysterious corbelled passage that leads to the king's chamber. No known theory of pyramid construction explained why such a space would exist, and no entrance to this hidden chamber appeared on any ancient plan or modern survey. Traditional archaeology had mapped the Great Pyramid's interior with meticulous care over more than 2 centuries. Every passage, every chamber, every niche had been measured and documented. The idea that a room larger than any known chamber could have remained hidden seemed impossible. Yet the Muons didn't lie. The void's orientation mirrored the Grand Gallery below it, suggesting intentional design rather than structural accident. Both spaces shared the same steep upward angle, both extended in the same direction, both terminated at seemingly arbitrary points within the pyramid's mass. The parallel suggested that ancient builders had incorporated this hidden space into their original plans. More discoveries followed. Smaller voids appeared in the detector data, mysterious spaces behind walls, gaps where stones should connect, chambers that seemed to lead nowhere. Each new revelation highlighted how little archaeologists truly understood about the pyramid's internal architecture. The monument seemed riddled with hidden spaces, like a massive 3-dimensional puzzle with missing pieces. Japanese researchers developed even more sensitive detection methods, using different types of cosmic ray particles to probe the pyramid's secrets. Their results confirmed the Big Void's existence and revealed additional anomalies. Thermal imaging detected temperature variations, suggesting air circulation through unknown passages. Electromagnetic surveys found metallic objects embedded within walls where no metal should exist. The most tantalizing discovery came from ground-penetrating radar surveys conducted around the pyramid's base. The instruments detected what appeared to be a network of tunnels extending far beyond the known underground chamber. These passages seemed to connect with chambers that lay completely outside the pyramid's footprint, suggesting that the monument was merely the visible portion of a much larger complex. Attempts to explore these discoveries faced overwhelming obstacles. Egyptian authorities, protective of their ancient treasures, restricted access to the pyramid's interior. The spaces were too high to reach with conventional drilling equipment. Even if chambers could be accessed, doing so might damage the monument's structural integrity. The hidden rooms remained as tantalizingly out of reach as they had been for millennia. The Big Void's purpose sparked intense speculation. Some researchers suggested it served structural functions, distributing the pyramid's immense weight more evenly. Others proposed astronomical purposes, pointing out that the chamber's orientation aligned with stellar positions. The most intriguing theories suggested the space contained artifacts or records left by the pyramid's builders' evidence that could revolutionize understanding of ancient Egyptian capabilities. Computer models based on the Muon data revealed even more mysteries. The void's walls appeared smooth and finished, not rough stone characteristic of natural cavities. Air samples extracted through microscopic drilling showed unusual chemical compositions, suggesting materials not typical of limestone construction. Every answer generated new questions about the hidden chamber's nature and purpose. The discovery highlighted how much remains unknown about humanity's most studied monument. Despite centuries of investigation, the Great Pyramid continued yielding secrets that challenged conventional understanding. The hidden chambers implied levels of sophistication and planning far beyond what mainstream archaeology attributed to Bronze Age builders. Modern technology had revealed what ancient knowledge had concealed. The pyramid builders seemed to have anticipated future discoveries, leaving tantalizing hints of deeper mysteries while maintaining impenetrable secrecy about their ultimate purposes. The hidden void became a symbol of how much we still don't know about our own past. As Dr. Tayyubi compiled his team's findings, one question dominated his thoughts. If such sophisticated concealment techniques were used throughout the pyramid, what other secrets might still be waiting for discovery? The monument that had stood for over 4 millennia was still teaching humanity about the incredible achievements of its mysterious builders. The conventional timeline places pyramid construction firmly within Egypt's Old Kingdom, a golden age of pharaonic power and architectural achievement. Yet this timeline rests on assumptions that grow increasingly fragile under scrutiny. What if the greatest monuments at Giza belong not to dynastic Egypt, but to an age so remote that it predates recorded history entirely? This radical possibility emerged from multiple lines of evidence that refused to conform to accepted chronology. Geological surveys revealed weathering patterns inconsistent with the arid climate that has characterized Egypt for the past 5,000 years. The erosion patterns on pyramid casing stones, where they survive, suggest prolonged exposure to water rainfall that hasn't occurred in the region since the end of the last ice age. The Sahara itself tells a story of dramatic climate change. Satellite imagery reveals the ghost rivers that once flowed across what is now barren desert. Archaeological evidence confirms that the region supported lush grasslands, forests, and permanent lakes as recently as 6,000 years ago. Before that, during the African humid period between 15,000 and 5,000 years ago, the entire area resembled modern East Africa green, fertile, and teeming with life. Oral traditions from across Africa preserve memories of this lost green world. Stories speak of great builders who came from the East, masters of stone who erected monuments when the land was young and verdant. While dismissed as myth by conventional archaeology, these traditions maintain remarkable consistency across vast distances and disparate cultures. They remember a time when giants walked the earth and raised structures that touched the sky. The pyramid complex's relationship to the ancient Nile adds another temporal puzzle. Modern reconstruction of the river's historical course shows that the Nile once flowed much closer to the Giza Plateau. Harbor installations near the pyramids suggest they were designed when water transport was possible directly to the site. But hydrological models indicate the river hasn't reached these positions for over 8,000 years. Carbon dating of organic materials found within pyramid mortar has produced dates ranging far beyond the accepted construction period. While these results are often dismissed as contamination, their consistency across multiple samples suggests something more significant. The dates cluster around 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, precisely when the climate evidence suggests a green Sahara capable of supporting large populations. Star maps preserved in ancient Egyptian texts describe stellar positions that haven't occurred during recorded history. The precession of Earth's axis means that star positions shift slowly over millennia, creating a cosmic clock that tracks vast periods of time. The stellar arrangements depicted in pyramid texts correspond to sky positions from the end of the last ice age, over 10,000 years ago. Ancient Egyptian records themselves hint at extreme antiquity. The Turin King List and other pharaonic documents describe dynasties stretching back tens of thousands of years before the historical period. While mainstream archaeology dismisses these as mythological, they may preserve genuine memories of earlier civilizations. The Egyptians spoke of Zep-Tepi, the first time, when gods ruled directly over humanity and established the principles of civilization. Comparative archaeology reveals similar monuments worldwide dating to much earlier periods. Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, with its massive stone circles and sophisticated carving, dates to over 11,000 years ago. The underwater ruins at Yonaguni and other submerged sites suggest advanced construction capabilities during the last ice age. These discoveries establish that sophisticated stoneworking civilizations existed long before conventional timelines suggest. The precision tooling evidence at Giza points to capabilities that shouldn't have existed in the Bronze Age. Granite surfaces show signs of machining that requires steel tools and high-speed cutting devices. Core drilling techniques apparent in stone blocks demand equipment not developed until modern times. If these techniques belong to the Bronze Age, they should appear in other contemporary sites, but they don't. Genetic studies of ancient Egyptian populations reveal interesting anomalies. DNA analysis suggests that pre-dynastic Egyptians showed greater diversity than later populations, including genetic markers from regions far outside Africa. This diversity then decreased during historical times, as if an earlier, more cosmopolitan population was gradually replaced by the more homogeneous groups we associate with pharaonic Egypt. The mathematics encoded in pyramid proportions reference knowledge that supposedly wasn't developed until millennia later. Pi, the golden ratio, and complex astronomical calculations appear in structures that predate the supposed discovery of these concepts. Either the builders possessed advanced mathematical knowledge, or they inherited monuments containing this information from predecessors who did. Linguistic analysis reveals that ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs may preserve much older symbolic systems. The complexity and sophistication of the writing system appears suddenly in Egyptian history, without the gradual development typically seen in emerging scripts. This suggests the Egyptians may have adapted existing symbolic knowledge rather than creating their system from scratch. The hypothesis of extreme antiquity explains many anomalies that trouble conventional chronology. It accounts for the precision that exceeds Bronze Age capabilities. It explains the mathematical and astronomical knowledge embedded in the structures. It provides time for the sophisticated planning evident throughout the complex. Most importantly, it places pyramid construction during a climatic period when such massive undertakings would have been possible. This alternative timeline suggests that the Egyptians inherited the pyramids from predecessors whose civilization flourished during the Green Sahara period. These earlier builders possessed knowledge and capabilities that were partially preserved, but not fully understood by later cultures. The dynasties of the pharaohs emerged not as the creators of Egypt's greatest monuments, but as their inheritors and guardians. The desert sands have preserved these monuments for millennia, but they may also have buried the true story of their origin. Each grain of sand represents time beyond human memory, accumulating over periods that dwarf recorded history. Beneath those sands, evidence of humanity's forgotten achievements may still wait for discovery. At the eastern edge of the Giza Plateau stands one of humanity's most enigmatic monuments. The Great Sphinx, with its human head and lion's body, gazes eternally eastward toward the rising sun. Carved from a single outcrop of limestone, this colossal guardian has watched over the pyramid complex for millennia. Yet the Sphinx carries scars that tell a story mainstream archaeology struggles to accept. The weathering patterns carved into the Sphinx's flanks don't match what wind and sand should produce. Instead of the sharp, angular erosion typical of desert conditions, the monument displays the rounded, undulating channels, characteristic of water erosion. These patterns flow vertically down the Sphinx's sides, exactly as heavy rainfall would create over extended periods. But Egypt hasn't experienced such rainfall for over 7,000 years. Geologist Robert Schoch first brought scientific attention to this anomaly in the 1990s. His analysis of the erosion patterns concluded that the Sphinx had been exposed to substantial rainfall for extended periods, possibly thousands of years. This dating pushes the monument's origins back to the end of the last ice age, when North Africa experienced a radically different climate. During the African humid period, roughly 15,000 to 5,000 years ago, the Sahara resembled a vast savanna. Rivers flowed where now only sand exists. Lakes dotted the landscape. Monsoon rains fell regularly across regions that are now among Earth's most arid. Archaeological evidence confirms that this green Sahara supported large human populations, complex societies, and sophisticated material cultures. The Sphinx's leonine body takes on new significance in this climatic context. During the period when heavy rains would have created the observed erosion patterns, the constellation Leo rose directly in front of the Sphinx at the spring equinox. The monument appears to gaze toward its celestial counterpart, creating a symbolic connection between earth and sky that would have been meaningful to its builders. Temperature records extracted from ice cores and lake sediments reveal the dramatic nature of this climate shift. The transition from green Sahara to desert wasn't gradual. It occurred within a few centuries, around 5,000 years ago. This rapid desertification would have forced large populations to migrate toward the Nile Valley, potentially carrying knowledge and traditions from their abandoned homeland. The enclosure walls surrounding the Sphinx show the same water erosion patterns as the monument itself. These walls were carved from the same limestone bedrock, creating a natural laboratory for studying weathering processes. The consistent erosion patterns across both monument and enclosure walls confirm that both experienced the same climatic conditions over the same time periods. Mainstream Egyptology attributes the Sphinx to Pharaoh Khufu, builder of the second pyramid at Giza, around 2500 BCE. This dating relies primarily on stylistic analysis of the head and proximity to Khufu's pyramid complex. However, the head shows markedly different weathering patterns than the body, suggesting it may have been recarved from an original form during pharaonic times. The proportions of the Sphinx support this recarving theory. The head appears disproportionately small compared to the massive body, creating an unbalanced appearance that would be unusual for Egyptian artists known for their precise proportions. Computer analysis suggests the original head would have been much larger, possibly representing a lion's head to match the body. Underground chambers discovered around the Sphinx add another layer to the mystery. Seismic surveys have detected hollow spaces beneath the monument and throughout the surrounding area. These voids suggest a complex network of chambers and passages that haven't been fully explored. Some researchers propose these underground features predate the visible monument by thousands of years. The nearby Valley Temple, traditionally associated with Khufu's pyramid complex, shows the same water erosion patterns as the Sphinx. This massive granite structure, built with precisely fitted megalithic blocks, displays weathering characteristics that match the Sphinx rather than other Old Kingdom monuments. The correlation suggests both structures experience the same ancient climate conditions. Japanese archaeological teams using ground-penetrating radar have mapped extensive anomalies beneath the Sphinx and surrounding area. Their surveys reveal what appears to be a vast underground complex extending far beyond the visible monument. These hidden structures may represent the remains of a much larger construction project that included the Sphinx as merely one visible element. The inventory stela, a controversial artifact discovered near the Great Pyramid, claims that Pharaoh Khufu found the Sphinx already ancient and in need of restoration. While mainstream archaeology questions this stela's authenticity, It aligns with geological evidence, suggesting the monument predates dynastic Egypt by thousands of years. Ancient Egyptian texts themselves sometimes hint at the Sphinx's extreme antiquity. References to Hor-Amakhet, Horus of the Horizon, describe the monument in terms that suggest it existed long before the pharaohs. These texts speak of restoration rather than construction, implying the Egyptians inherited rather than created their guardian Sphinx. The acoustic properties of the Sphinx enclosure reveal another unexpected characteristic. Sound waves resonate within the space in ways that suggest intentional design for amplification and reverberation. These properties would be useful for ceremonial purposes, indicating the enclosure served functions beyond simple monument housing. Recent discoveries of organic materials in mortar between the Sphinx stones have provided carbon dates ranging from 7,000 to 9,000 years ago. While these dates are often explained as contamination, their consistency suggests they may reflect the monument's true age rather than measurement errors. The implications ripple through our understanding of ancient civilization. If the Sphinx dates to the end of the last ice age, it represents one of humanity's earliest monumental achievements. Its builders possessed sophisticated planning capabilities, advanced stoneworking techniques, and astronomical knowledge that wouldn't be seen again for millennia. The Great Guardian continues its eternal watch, scarred by waters that fell when the world was young. Its weathered flanks preserve the memory of a green Sahara, a lost world where ancient builders created monuments that would outlast their civilization by thousands of years. The Sphinx stands as testament to humanity's forgotten achievements, eroded by rains that fell before recorded history began. In 1858, French archaeologist Auguste Mariette made a discovery near the Great Pyramid that would ignite debates continuing to this day. Buried in the sand east of the monument, he uncovered a granite stela covered with hieroglyphic inscriptions. The artifact would become known as the Inventory Stela, and its claims would challenge fundamental assumptions about the age and origins of Giza's monuments. The stela's inscription tells a remarkable story. It credits Pharaoh Khufu not with building the Great Pyramid, but with restoring monuments he found already ancient. Most startling of all, it claims that Khufu discovered the Sphinx weathered and damaged, buried up to its shoulders in sand. According to the stela, the pharaoh ordered repairs to both the Sphinx and a temple that stood beside it. He found the house of Isis, mistress of the pyramid, beside the house of the Sphinx, the inscription reads. It describes how Khufu built a pyramid for his daughter Henutzen near these existing monuments, treating the Great Pyramid and Sphinx as landmarks already dominating the landscape when he arrived. The implications were staggering. If authentic, the stela suggested that Egypt, as most famous monuments, predated the pharaoh, traditionally credited with their construction by an unknown span of time. The inscription implied that even in Khufu's era, around 4,500 years ago, the Sphinx was already so ancient that sand had accumulated around it to shoulder height. Mainstream Egyptology quickly challenged the stela's authenticity. Scholars pointed to linguistic anachronisms in the text, noting that certain phrases and titles didn't appear until much later in Egyptian history. The writing style seemed more characteristic of the 26th dynasty, around 600 BCE, rather than the 4th dynasty when Khufu ruled. Many concluded the stela was a much later creation, possibly propaganda designed to enhance a pharaoh's reputation by associating him with famous monuments. Yet the controversy wouldn't die. Supporters of the stela's authenticity argued that later scribes might have updated archaic language while preserving ancient historical information. They pointed out that many genuine ancient documents showed evidence of linguistic revision over time, as languages evolved and texts were recopied by successive generations of scribes. The stela's physical characteristics added complexity to the debate. The granite from which it was carved appeared genuinely ancient, showing weathering patterns consistent with long exposure. The carving techniques matched those used in legitimate Old Kingdom monuments. Chemical analysis of the stone revealed no obvious signs of forgery or artificial aging. More intriguingly, the stela's claims about the Sphinx aligned with emerging geological evidence. By the time modern researchers began questioning the Sphinx's conventional dating based on water erosion patterns, the inventory stela's assertion that Khufu found the monument already ancient suddenly seemed less impossible. Archaeological evidence around Giza provided mixed support for the stela's claims. Excavations had indeed revealed structures predating the traditional pyramid construction timeline. Foundation blocks beneath some monuments showed different construction techniques than the visible portions above. Core samples from various structures yielded inconsistent radiocarbon dates, some much older than orthodox chronology suggested. The stela's description of Henetzin's pyramid proved accurate. Near the Great Pyramid stands a smaller pyramid traditionally attributed to Khufu's queen, exactly where the inscription claimed it was built. The correlation between the stela's account and archaeological reality suggested the document contained at least some genuine historical information. Modern translation efforts revealed additional details that complicated simple dismissal of the artifact. The text included references to specific priests, administrative positions, and religious ceremonies that matched other 4th Dynasty records. The level of detailed knowledge displayed in these passages would have been difficult for later forgers to fabricate convincingly. Computer analysis of the hieroglyphic script revealed interesting patterns. While some phrases indeed appeared to use later linguistic forms, the overall structure and many specific elements matched authentic 4th Dynasty inscriptions. The mixed linguistic character might reflect the document's complex transmission history rather than wholesale forgery. The debate intensified when researchers discovered that the stela wasn't unique. Other inscriptions and papyri from various periods made similar claims about pharaohs restoring rather than building famous monuments. The Turin king list and other king lists describe dynasties stretching back much further than conventional chronology allowed, suggesting ancient Egyptians themselves believed their civilization had much deeper roots. Perhaps most tellingly, the stela's claims about sand accumulation around the Sphinx proved remarkably prescient. Modern excavations have revealed that the monument has indeed been repeatedly buried and restored throughout history. Sand accumulates around the Sphinx with surprising speed in the desert environment, requiring constant maintenance to keep the full figure visible. Dr. Zahi Hawass, former Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, remained skeptical of the stela's authenticity throughout his career. He argued that accepting its claims would require rewriting established Egyptian chronology without sufficient evidence. Yet even skeptics acknowledged that the artifact raised legitimate questions about how much ancient Egyptians knew about their own history. The inventory stela sits today in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, its granite surface still bearing the hieroglyphs that sparked over a century of scholarly debate. Whether authentic record or elaborate forgery, the artifact represents the tension between orthodox archaeology and evidence that challenges established timelines. The small granite monument continues to whisper its controversial claims about pharaohs who inherited rather than built the wonders of Giza. Its hieroglyphic inscription serves as a reminder that even our most confident historical narratives rest on incomplete evidence, and that ancient voices sometimes tell stories we're not prepared to hear. In the shadow of conventional history lies a possibility that archaeologists have long dismissed but can no longer easily ignore. What if the pyramids at Giza represent the final legacy of a sophisticated civilization that vanished from human memory long before the first pharaoh claimed dominion over Egypt? The evidence for such a forgotten people emerges not from any single discovery, but from the accumulation of anomalies that refuse to fit within accepted historical frameworks. This hypothetical civilization would have flourished during the Green Sahara period, when North Africa resembled a vast garden rather than a desert wasteland. Monsoon rains supported forests and grasslands. Rivers flowed where now only sand remains. Lakes dotted the landscape, providing water resources that could sustain large populations and complex societies. Archaeological evidence confirms that sophisticated cultures thrived in this ancient paradise, leaving behind artifacts that hint at capabilities far beyond those attributed to early civilizations. The builders of the pyramids would have possessed mathematical knowledge that wouldn't be rediscovered for millennia. They understood pi to multiple decimal places, encoded in pyramid proportions. They knew the golden ratio, embedded in monument dimensions. They calculated Earth's circumference and precession cycles, information preserved in stone orientations and passage alignments. This knowledge appears suddenly in Egyptian civilization without the gradual development typical of emerging mathematical traditions. Their astronomical expertise exceeded anything attributed to Bronze Age peoples. They tracked stellar positions with precision that required generations of careful observation. They understood precession, the slow wobble of Earth's axis that causes star positions to shift over 26,000-year cycles. They oriented their monuments to capture stellar alignments that occur only once in these vast periods, displaying foresight and planning capabilities that challenge our assumptions about ancient priorities. The engineering capabilities of these forgotten builders surpassed those of many later civilizations. They moved massive stones with apparent ease, positioning multi-ton blocks with millimeter precision. They carved granite with techniques that remain mysterious, achieving surface finishes that approach mirror quality. They constructed monuments that have withstood earthquakes, climate changes, and human interference for thousands of years, displaying structural knowledge that modern engineers struggle to replicate. Their metallurgical skills may have exceeded conventional Bronze Age limitations. Tool marks on pyramid stones suggest cutting techniques requiring steel implements or more advanced materials. Core drilling evidence indicates high-speed rotary tools powered by unknown energy sources. Chemical analysis of metallic traces found within pyramid stones reveals alloy compositions that shouldn't have existed in ancient times. The geographic extent of their influence appears to have been global. Similar pyramid structures appear on every continent, often displaying construction techniques and proportional relationships that echo the Giza monuments. The worldwide distribution of these structures suggests either a highly mobile civilization or a shared cultural heritage that spread across vast distances during the Green Sahara period. Ancient texts from multiple cultures preserve memories of this lost age. Egyptian records speak of Zep Tepi, the first time when gods walked among humans and established the foundations of civilization. Hindu texts describe cycles of time stretching back tens of thousands of years, including periods when advanced peoples achieved great works before being lost to cataclysm. Mesopotamian King lists record dynasties reaching back to antediluvian times, preserving memories of rulers who lived before the Great Flood. The sudden appearance of sophisticated civilization in multiple locations around 5,000 years ago suggests these weren't independent developments, but rather the reorganization of surviving knowledge after a period of disruption. The rapid transition from hunter-gatherer societies to complex urban civilizations implies the rediscovery and application of existing knowledge rather than gradual innovation from basic principles. Genetic studies of ancient populations reveal interesting patterns that support the forgotten civilization hypothesis. DNA analysis shows that early agricultural societies carried genetic markers from diverse origins, suggesting population movements and mixing during the period when the Green Sahara was transitioning to desert. These movements may represent migrations of survivors carrying advanced knowledge to new homelands. The technological regression, evident in later Egyptian monuments, supports the inheritance theory. The precision and sophistication of the Giza pyramids far exceed later attempts at pyramid building. Subsequent dynasties struggled to replicate achievements that should have been routine if the technology were fully understood. This pattern suggests the Egyptians inherited capabilities they never completely mastered. Climate data reveals that the transition from Green Sahara to desert occurred relatively rapidly, within a few centuries around 5,000 years ago. This environmental catastrophe would have forced massive population movements and cultural disruptions. Surviving groups would have carried memories and knowledge fragments to new territories, seeding the civilizations that emerged in river valleys around the world. The oral traditions of indigenous peoples worldwide preserve remarkably consistent accounts of ancient builders who possessed abilities far exceeding those of later generations. These stories, dismissed as mythology by conventional archaeology, maintain consistent themes across cultures, separated by vast distances and time periods. They remember giant builders, master engineers, and wise teachers who established the foundations of human civilization. Modern satellite archaeology reveals the ghostly outlines of ancient settlements scattered across the now barren Sahara. These sites, visible only from space as subtle variations in sand color and texture, suggest that the desert once supported urban centers of considerable size. Ground-penetrating radar confirms the presence of substantial structures buried beneath centuries of accumulated sand. The hypothesis of a forgotten civilization provides elegant solutions to numerous archaeological puzzles. It explains the sudden appearance of advanced mathematical and astronomical knowledge. It accounts for construction techniques that exceed conventional Bronze Age capabilities. It provides the time necessary for the careful planning evident throughout the Giza complex. Most importantly, it places humanity's greatest ancient achievements within a climatic period when such massive undertakings would have been possible. These vanished engineers left their greatest works in stone, knowing that such monuments would outlast any wooden cities or written records. The pyramids serve as their calling cards to future generations, proof that human civilization has achieved greatness before and can do so again. Their legacy challenges us to reconsider not just the age of our monuments, but the true depth and sophistication of human achievement throughout history. What if the Great Pyramid was never intended as a tomb at all, but as something far more extraordinary, a machine of cosmic proportions, designed to harness and manipulate energies we barely understand today? This revolutionary perspective transforms the ancient monument from a static memorial into a dynamic technological achievement, one that challenges every assumption about the capabilities of early civilizations. The internal architecture of the pyramid supports this mechanical interpretation. Unlike the solid construction typical of burial monuments, the Great Pyramid contains a complex network of passages, chambers, and shafts that seem designed for the movement of substances or energies. The ascending and descending passages create a system reminiscent of modern machinery, with precise angles and carefully calculated dimensions that serve functional rather than merely symbolic purposes. The King's Chamber displays acoustic properties that suggest sophisticated engineering for sound manipulation. When sounds are produced within the chamber, they resonate at specific frequencies that create standing wave patterns throughout the space. The chamber's dimensions relate directly to musical intervals, implying intentional design for harmonic resonance. This acoustic behavior is characteristic of carefully tuned resonance chambers used in modern acoustic engineering. Underground beneath the pyramid lies an intricate network of water channels that conventional archaeology struggles to explain. These passages, carved into the bedrock with precision that rivals modern tunneling techniques, appear designed to channel groundwater through specific routes within the monument's foundation. The water flow patterns suggest hydraulic engineering on a scale that exceeds anything attributed to Bronze Age capabilities. The relationship between the pyramid's internal water systems and its acoustic properties becomes even more intriguing when considered together. Water flowing through stone channels creates vibrations that could interact with the resonant frequencies of the upper chambers. This combination of hydraulic and acoustic engineering might have created a machine capable of generating and focusing energy in ways we don't fully comprehend. Recent investigations have detected electromagnetic anomalies throughout the pyramid structure. Specialized instruments register unusual electrical activity within the monument, particularly during certain atmospheric conditions. These electromagnetic effects appear to correlate with the pyramid's internal geometry and the presence of metallic objects embedded within its stone blocks. The pyramid's position relative to Earth's magnetic field reveals another layer of sophisticated engineering. The monument sits at the intersection of magnetic field lines that create unique conditions for electromagnetic phenomena. This positioning appears intentional rather than coincidental, suggesting the builders understood geomagnetic principles that wouldn't be formally discovered until the modern era. Infrared thermal imaging reveals temperature variations throughout the pyramid that don't match simple explanations of solar heating or air circulation. The thermal patterns suggest internal energy generation or focusing mechanisms that create heat signatures in specific locations. These thermal anomalies correspond to areas where acoustic and electromagnetic effects are most pronounced. The Grand Gallery, with its unusual corbelled ceiling and precise ascending angle, resembles a giant resonator designed to amplify and focus acoustic energy. The gallery's proportions match those of modern acoustic amplification systems, complete with precise angles for sound wave manipulation. Stone channels cut into the gallery's floor might have contained materials that enhanced its resonant properties. The mysterious shafts extending from the king's and queen's chambers toward the pyramid's exterior present another mechanical puzzle. These passages, perfectly straight and precisely angled, point toward specific stellar positions, but also create pathways for air circulation and possible energy transmission. Recent explorations have revealed that these shafts contain metallic fittings and unusual construction materials that suggest technological rather than symbolic purposes. Chemical analysis of the pyramid's internal surfaces reveals residues that don't match simple limestone construction. Traces of metallic compounds, crystalline deposits, and organic materials suggest chemical processes occurred within the monument over extended periods. These chemical signatures are consistent with electrochemical reactions or other energy-generating processes. The pyramid's relationship to underground water sources becomes more significant when considered as part of a larger machine system. The monument sits above an underground river that flows beneath the Giza Plateau. This water source could have provided the hydraulic pressure necessary to operate the pyramid's internal mechanisms, creating a power source that operated continuously without human intervention. Modern experiments attempting to replicate the pyramid's acoustic properties have yielded startling results. Scale models constructed with the same proportional relationships generate standing wave patterns that focus acoustic energy in specific locations. These focused sound waves create localized pressure changes that could theoretically perform mechanical work or generate electrical effects through piezoelectric properties of quartz-bearing stones. The precision of the pyramid's construction takes on new meaning when viewed as machine engineering rather than architectural achievement. Tolerances measured in millimeters across structures weighing millions of tons suggest manufacturing standards, appropriate for mechanical devices rather than ceremonial buildings. Such precision would be necessary for a machine designed to operate with minimal energy loss and maximum efficiency. Tesla's fascination with pyramid geometry stemmed from his recognition that the monument's proportions created natural resonant frequencies that could be used for wireless energy transmission. His experiments with pyramid-shaped transmitters demonstrated that such structures could indeed focus and transmit electromagnetic energy across considerable distances without physical connections. The absence of hieroglyphic decorations within most of the pyramid's internal chambers supports the machine hypothesis. Unlike genuine burial chambers, which feature extensive religious artwork and inscriptions, the pyramid's interior spaces remain functionally bare. The few markings that do exist appear to be operational instructions or structural indicators rather than religious or ceremonial texts. Recent discoveries of metallic objects embedded within the pyramid as stone blocks suggest the presence of technological components that do appear in other ancient monuments. X-ray analysis reveals regularly spaced, metallic elements that might have served as electrical conductors or mechanical reinforcements for the monument's operational systems. The machine hypothesis provides compelling explanations for numerous pyramid anomalies that conventional archaeology finds difficult to address. It accounts for the monument's internal complexity, its precision construction, its electromagnetic properties, and its relationship to natural energy sources. Most importantly, it transforms our understanding of ancient capabilities from purely ceremonial achievements to genuine technological accomplishments. If the Great Pyramid was indeed a machine, its purpose remains tantalizingly unclear. Energy generation, acoustic focusing, electromagnetic manipulation, or functions we haven't yet imagined, all remain possibilities. What seems certain is that the monument represents engineering sophistication far beyond what conventional history attributes to its builders, suggesting once again that human technological achievement has deeper and more mysterious roots than we commonly assume. In the winter of 1905, Nikola Tesla stood in his Manhattan laboratory, surrounded by coils, conductors, and the crackling energy that had made him famous worldwide. But his attention was focused on something far removed from the electric devices that filled his workspace. Small pyramid-shaped structure sitting on his workbench, its copper surfaces gleaming under the laboratory's harsh lights. Tesla had been obsessed with the Great Pyramid for years, ever since he discovered that its proportions generated natural, resonant frequencies that aligned perfectly with his theories of wireless energy transmission. The pyramid's base-to-height ratio created the same geometric relationships he used in his radio transmitters, but on a scale that dwarfed anything he had attempted to build. The Serbian inventor's notebooks from this period reveal pages of calculations exploring the pyramid's electrical properties. He had discovered that structures built with pyramid geometry could focus and amplify electromagnetic fields in ways that conventional architecture could not. The ancient monument, he believed, was nothing less than a massive wireless power plant, designed by engineers who understood principles of energy transmission that modern science was only beginning to rediscover. Tesla's experiments with pyramid-shaped transmitters had yielded remarkable results. Small copper pyramids, when energized with high-frequency electrical currents, created standing wave patterns that could transmit power across considerable distances without wires. The focused energy fields generated by these devices exceeded the power output that their size should have permitted, suggesting that pyramid geometry somehow tapped into natural energy sources. The inventor's fascination extended beyond mere electrical properties. He had calculated that the Great Pyramid's position on Earth's surface placed it at the optimal location for harnessing the planet's natural electrical field. The monument sat at the intersection of magnetic field lines that created unique conditions for electromagnetic phenomena, exactly where Tesla would have placed a global wireless transmission station. In his private correspondence, Tesla wrote about visiting Egypt to study the pyramid firsthand. He believed the ancient structure contained technological secrets that could revolutionize modern power generation and transmission. The copper fittings discovered in the pyramid's internal shafts, he argued, were components of an electrical system designed to capture and focus atmospheric electricity. Tesla's theories about the pyramid's function aligned with his broader vision of wireless energy transmission. He imagined a world where power could be transmitted through the Earth itself, using the planet's natural electrical properties to carry energy to any location. The Great Pyramid, he believed, was built by ancient engineers who had achieved this dream thousands of years before his own attempts at Wardenclyffe Tower. The inventor's notebooks contain detailed diagrams comparing pyramid proportions to his own transmission equipment. The angles, dimensions, and internal geometry of the Great Pyramid matched the optimal configurations he had discovered through years of experimentation. This correlation seemed too precise to be coincidental, suggesting that ancient builders possessed advanced understanding of electromagnetic principles. Tesla's assistant, George Scherf, later recalled the inventor's excitement when he first realized the connection between pyramid geometry and wireless transmission. Tesla had been working on improving the efficiency of his radio transmitters when he noticed that pyramid-shaped antennas produced significantly better results than conventional designs. This discovery led him to study the Great Pyramid's dimensions with obsessive attention to detail. The financial backing for Tesla's pyramid research came from J.P. Morgan, who was initially intrigued by the possibility of wireless power transmission. However, Morgan withdrew his support when he realized that Tesla's system would make metered electricity distribution impossible. Free wireless energy would eliminate the profit potential that made electrical utilities attractive investments. Tesla's final experiments with pyramid technology occurred at his Colorado Springs laboratory, where he built a massive transmission tower incorporating pyramid geometry. The device successfully transmitted electrical energy over several miles without wires, lighting lamps and powering motors at the receiving end. Local newspapers reported mysterious electrical phenomena occurring throughout the region during Tesla's experiments. The inventor's death in 1943 brought an abrupt end to his pyramid research. Government agents immediately seized his papers, claiming national security concerns about his wireless transmission technology. Many of Tesla's most detailed notes about pyramid geometry and ancient electrical systems vanished into classified archives and have never been publicly released. Modern researchers attempting to replicate Tesla's pyramid experiments have achieved mixed results. While some have successfully demonstrated wireless power transmission using pyramid-shaped devices, none have achieved the efficiency that Tesla claimed to reach. The missing elements might be found in the classified papers or in principles that Tesla never fully documented. The connection between Tesla's theories and the Great Pyramid remains tantalizing but unproven. If the ancient monument was indeed designed as an electrical device, it represents technological achievement that far exceeds conventional understanding of ancient capabilities. Tesla's recognition of this possibility suggests that at least one modern genius believed such achievement was not only possible but probable. Tesla's pyramid research raises profound questions about the relationship between ancient knowledge and modern discovery. Did Tesla independently rediscover principles that ancient engineers had mastered millennia earlier? Or do his theories simply project modern concepts onto ancient structures that served entirely different purposes? The inventor's conviction that the Great Pyramid represented advanced technology rather than primitive architecture continues to influence researchers today. Whether Tesla was a visionary recognizing ancient genius or a brilliant mind chasing impossible dreams, his work established a framework for understanding the pyramid as something far more sophisticated than a simple tomb. In his final years, Tesla often spoke of returning to Egypt to conduct detailed studies of the pyramid's electrical properties. He never made that journey, but his theoretical framework continues to inspire investigation into the technological possibilities hidden within humanity's most mysterious monument. Across the vast expanse of our planet, separated by oceans and millennia, pyramid structures rise from landscapes as diverse as Egyptian deserts, Mesoamerican jungles, and Indonesian archipelagos. These monuments, built by cultures that supposedly never contacted each other, share architectural principles, mathematical relationships, and astronomical alignments that suggest a common source of knowledge, a global civilization of master builders who understood both earthly engineering and celestial mechanics. The Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan, Mexico, stands as a testament to this shared heritage. Built around the same time as the Giza pyramids according to conventional dating, this massive structure demonstrates mathematical precision that rivals its Egyptian counterparts. The pyramid's base dimensions relate to astronomical cycles, its height encodes pi, and its orientation aligns with stellar positions in ways that echo the Egyptian monuments thousands of miles away. In the jungles of Guatemala, The Temple of the Grand Jaguar at Tikal reaches toward the sky with stepped sides that mirror architectural principles found in both Egypt and Mexico. Carbon dating places this monument's construction at periods that overlap with the Giza timeline. Yet the Maya civilization supposedly developed independently of any Old World influence. The shared architectural concepts suggest either impossible coincidence or common inheritance from an older tradition. The Borobudur Temple complex in Indonesia presents another piece of this global puzzle. This massive stone monument, comprising over 2 million volcanic stone blocks, displays mathematical and astronomical sophistication that matches the Egyptian pyramids. Its spiral walkways mirror the internal passages of the Great Pyramid, while its overall design creates a three-dimensional mandala that serves both architectural and spiritual purposes. China's ancient pyramids, hidden for decades under agricultural fields and government secrecy, reveal another chapter in this worldwide story. The White Pyramid near Xi'an surpasses even the Great Pyramid in base dimensions, while maintaining proportional relationships that echo the Egyptian monuments. Carbon dating and archaeological evidence suggest these structures may predate the pharaonic monuments by centuries or millennia. The Nubian pyramids of Sudan, built by the Kingdom of Kush, demonstrate the persistence of pyramid building traditions long after the Egyptian Old Kingdom ended. These monuments show mathematical relationships and construction techniques that suggest their builders had access to the same knowledge base that produced the Giza monuments. The continuity of this tradition across thousands of years implies a deeper cultural memory than conventional history acknowledges. Recent discoveries in Europe have revealed pyramid structures that challenge assumptions about ancient European capabilities. The Bosnian Pyramid of the Sun, though controversial, displays characteristics that align with pyramid monuments worldwide. Ground-penetrating radar reveals internal chambers and passage systems that match patterns found in Egyptian and Mesoamerican examples. The underwater pyramids discovered off the coast of Japan present perhaps the most intriguing evidence for a global pyramid-building civilization. The Yanaguni Monument, submerged since the end of the last ice age, shows architectural features that mirror surface pyramids but with greater antiquity. If artificial, these structures suggest pyramid building occurred during periods when sea levels were much lower than today. Statistical analysis of pyramid monuments worldwide reveals architectural relationships that exceed what random chance should produce. Base dimensions, height ratios, internal passage angles, and astronomical alignments show correlations that suggest shared design principles rather than independent development. The mathematical probability of such correlations occurring by coincidence approaches zero. The construction techniques evident in pyramid sites worldwide demonstrate technological capabilities that seem to transcend the supposed limitations of their builders' time periods. Massive stone blocks fitted with precision that prevents insertion of paper between joints appear in Egypt, Peru, Mexico, and Indonesia. This consistency across vast distances and time periods suggests either parallel technological development or inheritance from common sources. Acoustic properties discovered in pyramid chambers worldwide reveal another layer of shared knowledge. Resonant frequencies, sound amplification characteristics, and harmonic relationships appear in monuments separated by oceans and centuries. The Pyramid of Kukulkan, Chichen Itza, produces acoustic effects that mirror those found in the Great Pyramid's chambers, suggesting intentional design for sound manipulation. Astronomical alignments in pyramid complexes worldwide reference the same stellar positions and celestial events. Orion's belt, the cardinal directions, and solstice positions feature prominently in monument orientations from Egypt to Mexico to Indonesia. This shared astronomical knowledge implies either global communication, networks, or inheritance from predecessors who understood celestial mechanics. The mathematical constants encoded in pyramid proportions appear across cultures that supposedly never interacted. Pi, the golden ratio, and relationships referencing Earth's dimensions show up in monuments from the Giza Plateau to the Temple of the Sun at Teotihuacan. This shared mathematical knowledge suggests common educational traditions or inherited wisdom from earlier civilizations. Legends and oral traditions from pyramid-building cultures worldwide preserve remarkably similar accounts of the monument's origins. Stories speak of divine teachers, master builders from across the seas, and knowledge given by gods or ancestors. While details vary, the underlying narrative remains consistent. Pyramid building represents the preservation of ancient wisdom rather than local innovation. The global distribution of pyramid monuments correlates with climate patterns from the end of the last ice age. Sites clustering regions that experienced favorable conditions during the African humid period and similar climatic phases worldwide. This correlation suggests that pyramid builders took advantage of optimal environmental conditions to create their monuments during specific historical windows. The decline of pyramid building worldwide occurs within a relatively narrow time frame, roughly coinciding with major climate shifts around 4,000 years ago. This synchronization across isolated cultures suggests that the knowledge supporting pyramid construction was lost simultaneously in multiple locations, possibly due to environmental changes that disrupted the civilizations that preserved this wisdom. Modern analysis of pyramid sites reveals evidence of advanced planning that extends beyond individual monuments to encompass entire regions. The layout of pyramid complexes often mirrors stellar configurations, while the positioning of different sites seems designed to create geometric relationships across vast distances. This landscape-scale planning suggests coordination between building projects separated by hundreds or thousands of miles. The star builders, whoever they were, left their signature in stone across the entire planet. Their monuments continue to challenge our understanding of ancient capabilities, human migration patterns, and the development of civilization itself. The global nature of their legacy suggests that sophisticated engineering knowledge once spread much more widely than conventional history acknowledges, creating monuments that served as beacons across both space and time. These ancient engineers understood that stone monuments would outlast any organic records of their achievements. By encoding their knowledge in pyramid proportions, astronomical alignments, and acoustic properties, they created a permanent record of human capability that transcends the rise and fall of individual civilizations. Their stellar knowledge, preserved in earthly monuments, continues to guide humanity's understanding of both our technological heritage and our cosmic connections. Hidden within medieval monasteries and private collections across Europe lie fragments of cartographic knowledge that should-not exist maps depicting coastlines, mountain ranges, and geographic features with accuracy that surpasses what their supposed creators could have achieved. These mysterious charts, known collectively as Portolan maps, preserve geographic knowledge that seems to stretch back to times when the world looked dramatically different than it does today. The most famous of these impossible maps emerged from the personal library of Ottoman Admiral Piri Reis in 1513. The Piri Reis map shows the Atlantic Ocean with stunning accuracy, including coastlines of the Americas that Columbus had only recently reached. But most remarkably, it depicts the Antarctic coastline beneath its ice sheets, showing geographic features that wouldn't be discovered until the 20th century, when ice-penetrating radar finally revealed the continent's hidden topography. The map's notations, written in Turkish, explain that it was compiled from multiple ancient sources, including charts that dated back to the time of Alexander the Great. Piri Reis claimed that his sources included maps used by Columbus himself, as well as others of much greater antiquity. The Admiral's notations suggest he was working with cartographic traditions that preserved geographic knowledge across vast spans of time. The accuracy of Antarctica's sea, as depicted on the Piri Reis map, poses a significant challenge to conventional understanding of geographic knowledge in ancient times. The coastline shown on the 1513 map matches seismic surveys conducted in the 1950s, revealing bays, inlets, and mountain ranges that have been buried under ice for thousands of years. The map shows Antarctica as it appeared before the last ice age, when much of the continent was ice-free. Other Portolan maps from the same period display similar anomalies. The Orontius Phineus map of 1531 shows Antarctica as a complete continent with rivers, mountains, and inland features. The Mercator map of 1538 depicts the continent with geographic accuracy that would not be achieved again until modern satellite mapping. The consistency across multiple independent sources suggests access to ancient cartographic traditions of remarkable sophistication. The technological requirements for creating such accurate maps exceed what conventional history attributes to ancient civilizations. Determining longitude accurately requires precise timekeeping devices that weren't developed until the 18th century. Mapping Antarctica's ice-free coastline would require either direct observation when the continent was accessible, or advanced remote sensing capabilities that seem impossible for ancient peoples. Trigonometric surveying techniques, evident in the most accurate Portolan maps, demonstrate mathematical knowledge that supposedly wasn't available to ancient cartographers. The maps show understanding of spherical geometry, coordinate systems, and projection techniques that wouldn't be formally developed until much later in cartographic history. The precision of these techniques suggests their creators possessed sophisticated instruments and mathematical training. Ancient texts from multiple cultures reference detailed maps and geographic knowledge that has since been lost. The Library of Alexandria supposedly contained comprehensive world maps based on centuries of geographic compilation. Ancient Chinese texts describe voyages to lands that match descriptions of the Americas. Hindu epics contain geographic references that align with features shown on impossible medieval maps. The ruins of ancient port facilities appear in locations that do and make sense, given current sea levels and geographic conditions. Harbor installations carved into bedrock appear hundreds of miles inland from current coastlines, suggesting they were built when sea levels were dramatically different. These structures align with geographic features shown on ancient maps, but not visible on modern ones. Genetic studies of plant and animal species reveal distribution patterns that match connections shown on ancient maps rather than current geographic relationships. Certain species found on opposite sides of oceans share genetic markers that suggest contact during periods when geography differed from today. These biological connections align with land bridges and island chains depicted on maps like the Piri Reis chart. Oral traditions from indigenous peoples worldwide preserve detailed geographic knowledge that matches ancient maps better than modern geography. Aboriginal Australian songlines describe landscape features that existed during the last ice age. Native American traditions reference land connections that disappeared thousands of years ago. These cultural memories suggest that ancient peoples possessed comprehensive geographic knowledge that was preserved across millennia. The precision of ancient maps extends beyond mere coastline accuracy to include mathematical relationships that encode sophisticated geodetic knowledge. The maps demonstrate understanding of Earth's circumference, the flattening at the poles, and the relationships between different coordinate systems. This knowledge wouldn't be formally rediscovered until the development of modern surveying techniques. Archaeological discoveries continue to reveal evidence of ancient seafaring capabilities that support the existence of comprehensive ancient maps. Sophisticated harbor facilities, advanced shipbuilding techniques, and navigation instruments appear in cultures that supposedly lacked the ability to create accurate charts. These discoveries suggest that ancient peoples possessed both the tools and knowledge necessary for comprehensive geographic mapping. The correlation between ancient maps and climate data reveals another layer of their significance. The geographic features shown on these charts correspond to environmental conditions that existed during specific climatic periods. The ice-free Antarctic coastlines match periods when global temperatures were higher. The land bridges depicted on various maps align with times when sea levels were lower due to ice age conditions. Modern analysis of ancient navigation techniques reveals capabilities that could support accurate map-making. Polynesian navigators used sophisticated understanding of ocean swells, star positions, and weather patterns to traverse vast oceanic distances with remarkable precision. Similar techniques, applied over centuries or millennia, could have generated comprehensive geographic knowledge that was preserved in cartographic traditions. The mystery deepens when considering the global nature of this cartographic knowledge. Ancient maps from different cultures show consistent accuracy in depicting regions far from their supposed origins. European maps accurately show Asian geography. Middle Eastern charts correctly depict African coastlines. This consistency suggests either extensive ancient trade networks or inheritance from even older global mapping traditions. The lost maps represent more than simple geographic knowledge. They preserve evidence of human achievement that has been forgotten by conventional history. Their accuracy demonstrates observational capabilities, mathematical sophistication, and global coordination that challenges assumptions about ancient limitations. Most intriguingly, they suggest that human civilization has possessed comprehensive knowledge of Earth's geography for much longer than orthodox timelines acknowledge. These cartographic mysteries continue to influence modern understanding of ancient capabilities. Each newly discovered map fragment adds pieces to a puzzle that depicts ancient peoples as far more sophisticated and globally connected than previously imagined. The maps serve as paper witnesses to achievements that stone monuments and pottery shards cannot preserve, offering glimpses of knowledge traditions that spanned the globe and survived for millennia through careful copying and preservation. The ancient cartographers who created these impossible maps left humanity a legacy that challenges every assumption about the development of geographic knowledge, technological capability, and global communication in the distant past. Dr. Peter Tompkins had spent decades studying the Great Pyramid when he received a phone call that would change his understanding of the monument forever. The caller was a metallurgist from the University of California, and his voice carried the excitement of someone who had discovered something that shouldn't exist. "Dr. Tompkins," the metallurgist said, "you need to see what we found in those samples from the Queen's chamber shaft. This isn't Bronze Age technology. This isn't even medieval technology. We're looking at alloy compositions that shouldn't have been possible until the 20th century. The samples had been extracted during the controversial explorations of the pyramid's mysterious shafts in the early 1990s. Robotic cameras had discovered metallic objects embedded within the shaft walls, curious fittings that didn't appear on any ancient Egyptian blueprint. When fragments were finally extracted for analysis, they revealed compositions that defied easy explanation. The primary component was copper, as expected from Bronze Age artifacts. But the copper contained trace elements that transformed its properties dramatically. Traces of titanium, aluminum, and rare earth elements created an alloy that was both harder and more corrosion-resistant than pure copper. Most puzzling of all, the metallurgical analysis revealed that these elements had been deliberately added to the copper in precise proportions. The titanium content is what really puzzles us, the metallurgist explained during their subsequent meeting at his Berkeley laboratory. Titanium wasn't isolated as a pure element until 1910, and commercial titanium production didn't begin until the 1940s. Yet here we have titanium-enhanced copper alloys sitting in a shaft that's supposedly 4,500 years old. The implications were staggering. If ancient Egyptian metalworkers had access to titanium, they possessed technological capabilities that mainstream archaeology didn't acknowledge. Titanium extraction requires temperatures exceeding 1,800 degrees Celsius and complex chemical processes that weren't developed until the modern industrial era. The metal's presence in ancient copper alloys suggested either contamination or advanced metallurgical knowledge. Further analysis revealed additional anomalies. The copper showed signs of electromagnetic treatment exposure to powerful magnetic fields during the forging process. This technique, known as magnetic forming, wasn't developed until the mid-20th century and requires sophisticated electromagnetic equipment. The idea that ancient metalworkers possessed such capabilities seemed impossible. X-ray crystallography revealed that the metal's internal structure displayed characteristics of rapid cooling from extreme temperatures. The crystalline patterns suggested the alloy had been heated to temperatures approaching 2,000 degrees Celsius and then cooled using techniques that prevented normal crystal formation. Such temperature control required furnace technology that exceeded anything attributed to the Bronze Age. Electron microscopy detected microscopic structures within the metal that resembled modern nano-engineering. The copper contained regularly spaced inclusions of other elements arranged in patterns that appeared designed to enhance specific properties. These structures were so small that they shouldn't have been visible to ancient craftsmen, yet they showed clear evidence of intentional placement. Chemical analysis of the corrosion patterns provided another puzzle. The metal showed virtually no degradation despite apparent exposure to moisture and oxygen for millennia. Copper normally corrodes readily in the presence of water and air, developing the characteristic green patina seen on old copper structures. Yet these samples maintained metallic luster and structural integrity that suggested either recent manufacture or protective treatments unknown to ancient technology. Isotope analysis of the copper revealed sourcing patterns that didn't match known ancient mining operations. The metal's isotopic signature suggested ore sources from multiple geographic locations, some quite distant from Egypt. This implied either extensive ancient trade networks or access to copper deposits that weren't being exploited during the pyramid's supposed construction period. The most startling discovery came from spectrographic analysis of the metal's surface. The spectrum revealed traces of platinum group elements metals, so rare and difficult to extract that they were unavailable in pure form until modern industrial processes were developed. The presence of these elements in apparently ancient copper alloys challenged every assumption about ancient metallurgical capabilities. Attempts to replicate the alloy composition using period-appropriate techniques failed repeatedly. Modern metallurgists using Bronze Age furnace designs and tools couldn't achieve the temperature control necessary to create the observed crystal structures. Even with advanced modern equipment, matching the precise elemental composition proved challenging due to the exotic nature of some trace elements. The discovery sparked intense debate within archaeological circles. Skeptics argued that the samples must represent contamination from modern sources, possibly introduced during the robotic explorations of the shafts. Supporters countered that the metal's location deep within sealed passages made external contamination unlikely, and that the consistent anomalous properties across multiple samples suggested authenticity. Independent laboratories confirmed the initial findings, detecting the same unusual alloy compositions and structural characteristics. The consistency of results across different testing facilities reduced the likelihood of laboratory error or contamination. Yet the implications remained so challenging to accepted historical narratives that many researchers struggled to accept the evidence. The strange metals of Giza joined a growing collection of technological anomalies that didn't fit within conventional understanding of ancient capabilities. Like the precision stonework, the acoustic properties, and the electromagnetic effects detected throughout the pyramid, these metallurgical mysteries suggested that the monument's builders possessed knowledge and capabilities far exceeding what Bronze Age technology should have permitted. Dr. Tompkins spent his remaining years attempting to understand how ancient metalworkers might have achieved such sophisticated alloy compositions. His research revealed hints of advanced metallurgy in other ancient sites, suggesting that the Giza anomalies were isolated incidents, but part of a broader pattern of technological achievement that, conventional archaeology had overlooked. The metallic mysteries continue to challenge researchers today, serving as tangible evidence that human technological capability has deeper and more sophisticated roots than orthodox timelines acknowledge. These strange metals preserve in their crystal structures the memory of achievements that history books haven't yet learned to recognize. Hidden within the limestone blocks and granite chambers of the Great Pyramid lies a mathematical language that speaks across millennia, encoding information that transforms the monument from a simple burial structure into a comprehensive textbook of advanced knowledge. This stone library preserves mathematical constants, geometric relationships, and astronomical calculations that suggest its builders possessed sophisticated understanding of principles that wouldn't be formally rediscovered for thousands of years. The pyramid's base perimeter, when divided by its height, yields a number virtually identical to Pi, the mathematical constant that defines the relationship between a circle, circumference, and diameter. This relationship appears with accuracy extending to multiple decimal places, precision that exceeds what Bronze Age mathematicians supposedly possessed. The encoding of pi in the pyramid's fundamental proportions suggests deliberate intent rather than coincidental achievement. The monument's height relates to its base dimensions through the golden ratio, a mathematical relationship that appears throughout nature in everything from spiral shells to flower petal arrangements. This ratio, approximately 1.618, creates proportions that human perception finds inherently pleasing and naturally harmonious. The pyramid's incorporation of the golden ratio implies aesthetic and mathematical sophistication that challenges assumptions about ancient design capabilities. The slope angle of the pyramid's faces encodes multiple mathematical relationships simultaneously. At 51 degrees and 52 minutes, this angle creates proportions that reference pi, the golden ratio, and the mathematical relationship between a circle and its inscribed square. The angle also relates to stellar positions and astronomical cycles, suggesting the pyramid's geometry serves multiple mathematical and astronomical functions within a single elegant design. Internal measurements reveal even deeper mathematical sophistication. The king's chamber's dimensions relate to musical intervals based on harmonic ratios discovered by Pythagoras centuries later. The chamber's length, width, and height create proportional relationships that correspond to fundamental musical harmonies, suggesting the builders understood connections between mathematics, music, and acoustics that wouldn't be formally recognized until much later in history. The Grand Gallery's precise measurements encode relationships that reference Earth's dimensions and astronomical cycles. The gallery's length relates to the planet's circumference through mathematical relationships that require accurate knowledge of Earth's size and shape. This geodetic information, preserved in stone dimensions, implies the pyramid's builders possessed surveying and astronomical capabilities far exceeding conventional Bronze Age achievements. Mathematical analysis of the pyramid's construction reveals the systematic use of measurement units that relate to Earth's dimensions through simple mathematical relationships. The ancient Egyptian cubit, as used in the pyramid's construction, represents a precise fraction of Earth's polar circumference. This relationship suggests the measurement system wasn't arbitrary, but was derived from geodetic principles that required comprehensive understanding of planetary dimensions. The pyramid's positioning on Earth's surface encodes additional mathematical relationships. The monument sits at latitude coordinates that relate to its internal measurements through consistent mathematical proportions. This positioning appears intentional rather than coincidental, suggesting the builders selected the site based on mathematical criteria rather than purely practical considerations, like stone availability or transportation convenience. Acoustic analysis reveals that the pyramid's chambers resonate at frequencies that correspond to mathematical ratios found throughout the structure as physical dimensions. The king's chamber's resonant frequency relates directly to the chamber's proportional measurements, creating harmony between acoustic properties and geometric relationships. This correlation suggests intentional design for acoustic effects based on mathematical principles. The precision of stone cutting and placement throughout the pyramid demonstrates mathematical accuracy that approaches modern engineering standards. Joint tolerances measured in millimeters across structures weighing millions of tons indicate geometric control that requires sophisticated mathematical planning and execution. Such precision suggests the builders possessed both theoretical mathematical knowledge and practical application capabilities. Computer analysis of the pyramid's geometric relationships reveals mathematical constants appearing at multiple scales throughout the structure. The same proportional relationships that govern the monument's overall dimensions also appear in smaller architectural details, suggesting mathematical principles guided design decisions at every level of construction. This consistency implies systematic application of mathematical knowledge rather than intuitive building techniques. The relationship between the pyramid and surrounding monuments reveals mathematical planning that extends beyond individual structures to encompass entire complexes. The positioning of the three Giza pyramids creates geometric relationships that reference the same mathematical constants found within individual monuments. This landscape-scale mathematical planning suggests coordination based on comprehensive geometric understanding. Recent discoveries of numerical relationships between the pyramid's measurements and fundamental physical constants have deepened appreciation for the monument's mathematical sophistication. Relationships to the speed of light, gravitational constants, and other universal physical properties appear encoded in the structure's dimensions, though the significance of these correlations remains debated among researchers. The preservation of mathematical knowledge in stone format demonstrates remarkable foresight by the pyramid's builders. Unlike papyrus scrolls or wooden tablets, stone monuments can preserve information across millennia, protecting mathematical knowledge from the cultural disruptions that destroyed so many ancient libraries and schools. The pyramid serves as a permanent mathematical archive that has outlasted the civilization that created it. The mathematical language encoded in the pyramid structure suggests the monument served educational as well as ceremonial purposes. Students could learn fundamental mathematical principles by studying the building's proportions, measurements, and geometric relationships. The structure functions as a three-dimensional textbook that teaches through direct physical experience rather than abstract symbolic representation. The integration of mathematical, astronomical, and acoustic principles within a single architectural achievement demonstrates knowledge synthesis that exceeds what conventional history attributes to ancient civilizations. The pyramid represents applied mathematics on a scale and sophistication level that challenges fundamental assumptions about the development of human knowledge and technological capability. The stone language of the Great Pyramid continues to reveal new mathematical relationships as modern analysis techniques become more sophisticated. Each measurement precision improvement and each new analytical approach discovers additional mathematical content encoded within the monument's structure. The pyramid speaks in mathematical dialects that humanity is still learning to understand fully. This mathematical legacy preserved in stone suggests that human intellectual achievement has followed a more complex path than simple linear progression from primitive to sophisticated understanding. The pyramid's mathematical language implies that advanced knowledge existed in ancient times, was preserved through difficult periods, and contributed to later mathematical developments in ways that conventional academic history hasn't fully recognized or acknowledged. Deep beneath the limestone foundations of the Great Pyramid, the Earth itself hums with frequencies that modern science is only beginning to understand. These natural vibrations, known as Schumann resonances, pulse through the planet's electromagnetic field at frequencies that coincide remarkably with the acoustic properties measured within the pyramid's chambers. This correlation suggests that the ancient builders understood Earth's energetic systems in ways that enabled them to construct monuments that harmonize with planetary frequencies. The pyramid's acoustic characteristics become even more intriguing when considered within this broader vibrational context. Sound tests conducted within the King's Chamber reveal that the space resonates most strongly at frequencies that match human brain wave patterns associated with altered states of consciousness. These frequencies, in the range of 6 to 8 Hz, correspond to theta brain waves linked to deep meditation, creative inspiration, and heightened awareness. Experiments with sound generation within the pyramid have produced effects that extend far beyond simple acoustic phenomena. When specific frequencies are produced within the King's Chamber, sensitive instruments detect corresponding vibrations throughout the entire structure. The massive limestone blocks appear to transmit and amplify these frequencies, suggesting the pyramid functions as a gigantic resonating system designed to interact with both terrestrial and atmospheric energy patterns. The pyramid's internal geometry creates acoustic conditions that manipulate sound waves in sophisticated ways. The Grand Gallery functions as a resonant amplifier, its unique corbelled ceiling design focusing and intensifying acoustic energy generated within the space. The gallery's precise dimensions create standing wave patterns that concentrate sound energy at specific locations, demonstrating acoustic engineering principles that wouldn't be formally understood until modern times. Seismic monitoring around the Giza Plateau reveals that the pyramid complex sits at the intersection of natural earthquake transmission pathways that carry vibrational energy across vast distances. The monuments appear positioned to intercept and potentially modify these terrestrial vibrations, suggesting the builders understood seismic energy patterns and selected their construction site based on vibrational rather than purely practical criteria. The relationship between the pyramid's acoustic properties and its electromagnetic characteristics reveals even deeper levels of sophisticated engineering. When sound waves resonate within the pyramid's chambers, they create pressure variations that generate electrical effects through piezoelectric properties of the quartz-bearing limestone. These electrical phenomena interact with the monument's metallic components to create electromagnetic fields that extend beyond the structure itself. Modern analysis of the pyramid's construction materials reveals that the builders selected stones with specific acoustic properties from different quarries. The limestone used in various sections of the monument displays varying densities and mineral compositions that create different resonant characteristics. This selective use of materials suggests the builders understood how different stone types would contribute to the overall acoustic design. The water systems discovered beneath the pyramid add another layer to its vibrational functions. Underground streams flowing through chambers carved in the bedrock create hydraulic pressure variations that generate infrasonic vibrations, sound frequencies below human hearing that can travel enormous distances through solid rock. These infrasonic signals, generated by water flow, could theoretically carry information or energy across vast underground networks. Recent experiments with sound production at other pyramid sites worldwide have revealed similar acoustic properties, suggesting that resonant engineering was a standard feature of pyramid construction rather than a unique characteristic of the Giza monument. The consistent acoustic behaviors across different pyramid sites imply that ancient builders worldwide possessed comprehensive understanding of sound manipulation techniques. The timing of acoustic effects within the pyramid correlates with astronomical events in ways that suggest the monument's resonant properties were designed to interact with cosmic cycles. During specific stellar alignments, the pyramid's acoustic responses intensify, creating stronger resonant effects and more pronounced electromagnetic phenomena. This correlation implies that the monument functions as both terrestrial and cosmic resonating device. Computer modeling of the pyramid's vibrational characteristics reveals that the structure's mass and geometry create natural frequency relationships that extend far beyond the audible range. The monument generates and responds to infrasonic frequencies that can propagate through the Earth's crust over hundreds of miles. These ultra-low frequency vibrations could theoretically carry information or energy across continental distances using the planet itself as a transmission medium. The precision required to achieve the pyramid's acoustic properties challenges conventional understanding of ancient capabilities. Creating resonant chambers that function effectively requires exact dimensional relationships, precise stone cutting, and sophisticated understanding of acoustic principles. The achievement suggests that the builders possessed both theoretical knowledge of sound physics and practical experience with large-scale acoustic engineering. Archaeological evidence suggests that ancient peoples worldwide recognized and utilized natural resonant phenomena long before developing formal scientific understanding of acoustic principles. Stone circles, chamber tombs, and temple complexes often display acoustic properties that enhance sound effects for ceremonial purposes. The pyramid's acoustic design represents the pinnacle of this ancient tradition of architectural acoustics. The relationship between the pyramid's resonant frequencies and human physiology extends beyond simple brain-wave entrainment to include effects on other biological systems. Exposure to specific frequencies generated within the pyramid's chambers appears to influence heart rate, breathing patterns, and even cellular activity in ways that suggest the monument may have been designed for physiological as well as psychological effects. The discovery that Earth itself functions as a vast resonating system with natural frequencies that influence atmospheric and geological phenomena provides context for understanding the pyramid's vibrational characteristics. The monument appears designed to tap into these planetary energy systems, potentially serving as an interface between human consciousness and Earth's natural electromagnetic field. Modern research into infrasound and its effects on human perception reveals that low-frequency vibrations can create experiences interpreted as supernatural or mystical. The pyramid's ability to generate such frequencies might explain ancient accounts of spiritual experiences associated with the monument. What ancients interpreted as divine encounters might have resulted from sophisticated manipulation of acoustic and electromagnetic phenomena. The resonant Earth hypothesis suggests that the pyramid builders understood planetary energy systems in ways that enabled them to construct monuments that function as terrestrial energy interfaces. These ancient engineers recognized that Earth itself pulses with rhythms that influence biological and psychological processes, and they created architectural instruments capable of harmonizing human consciousness with planetary frequencies. The vibrational legacy preserved in the pyramid's acoustic design continues to influence modern understanding of the relationship between architectural design, natural energy systems, and human consciousness. The monument stands as testament to ancient recognition that Earth, consciousness, and constructed environments form interconnected systems that can be harmonized through sophisticated understanding of vibrational principles. 8 kilometers north of the Great Pyramid, across a landscape of rolling desert hills, lies one of archaeology's most perplexing mysteries. The site of Abu Rawash appears to casual observers as little more than scattered stone blocks and excavated pits, yet this seemingly destroyed monument may hold clues to understanding the entire Giza complex in ways that conventional archaeology hasn't fully grasped. Dr. Michel Valaglia, the Swiss archaeologist who has spent decades studying Abu Rawash, first realized the site's significance while examining satellite photographs in the 1990s. What he saw challenged every assumption about this supposedly unfinished pyramid. The scattered stones were evidence of incomplete construction. They were the remains of a monument that had been systematically dismantled, block by massive block. The precision of the dismantling amazed Valaglia's team as they began their excavations. Whoever had taken apart the Abu Rawash pyramid had done so with the same care and sophistication evident in its original construction. Massive granite blocks, some weighing over 20 tons, had been moved from their original positions without the damage that would result from crude destruction. The dismantling appeared as engineered as the building itself. Underground chambers revealed even greater mysteries. Deep beneath where the pyramid once stood, the excavators discovered a network of passages and chambers that rivaled those found beneath the Giza pyramids. These underground spaces contained architectural features that didn't match standard pyramid construction patterns. The chambers were larger, more complex, and showed signs of having served functions beyond simple burial preparation. The boat pits surrounding the Abu Rawash site proved particularly intriguing. Unlike the symbolic boat burials found at other pyramid sites, these installations appeared designed for actual vessels of extraordinary size. The largest pit could have accommodated a ship over 130 feet long, larger than Viking longships, and comparable to major ocean-going vessels from much later historical periods. Stone analysis revealed that the Abu Rawash pyramid had been built using materials from multiple quarries, some located hundreds of miles away. The variety of stone types exceeded what was used in other pyramid projects, suggesting either unlimited resources or specific material requirements that demanded diverse geological sources. Most puzzling were granite elements that appeared to have been machined rather than carved with conventional tools. The site's astronomical alignments differed significantly from other pyramid complexes. While the Giza pyramids align with cardinal directions and specific stellar positions, Abu Rawash's orientation references different celestial markers. The monument appears designed to track astronomical events that don't feature prominently in other Egyptian religious or architectural traditions. Local Bedouin traditions preserved stories about Abu Rawash that differed markedly from those associated with other pyramid sites. The oral histories spoke of the monument as a place of great power that was deliberately destroyed to prevent its misuse. According to these accounts, the dismantling wasn't vandalism, but protective action taken by people who understood the monument's true capabilities. Medieval Arabic texts referenced Abu Rawash in ways that suggested the monument remained partially intact much later than conventional chronology indicated. Descriptions from Islamic scholars mentioned features and capabilities that implied the pyramid served active functions well into the historical period. These accounts described the site as a place where strange phenomena occurred, including unusual lights and sounds. The quality of stonework found in Abu Rawash's remaining foundations exceeded that of most other pyramid sites. Joint tolerances approached those found in the Great Pyramid's most precise chambers, while surface finishing showed evidence of techniques that produced mirror-like polishes on granite surfaces. The level of craftsmanship suggested that Abu Rawash represented the pinnacle of pyramid building technology. Electromagnetic surveys of the site revealed anomalous readings that indicated substantial metallic objects buried throughout the area. Unlike other pyramid sites where metal findings consist primarily of small artifacts, Abu Rawash appears to contain large metallic installations that might have served technological rather than ceremonial purposes. Ground-penetrating radar confirmed the presence of regularly spaced metallic objects arranged in patterns that suggest systematic installation. The water systems at Abu Rawash proved even more sophisticated than those discovered at Giza. Underground channels carved with extraordinary precision connected natural springs to chambers throughout the complex. The hydraulic engineering displayed understanding of water pressure, flow dynamics, and distribution systems that exceeded capabilities attributed to pyramid-building civilizations. Chemical analysis of residues found in Abu Rawash chambers revealed compounds that don't appear in other pyramid sites. These chemical signatures suggested processes involving metallic elements and organic compounds in combinations that implied sophisticated material science. The residues appeared to be byproducts of activities that went beyond simple mummification or religious ceremonies. The systematic dismantling of Abu Rawash appeared to have been conducted by people who understood the monument's construction techniques intimately. The precision with which massive blocks were removed and relocated suggested that the dismantlers possessed the same technological capabilities as the original builders. This level of engineering knowledge implied cultural continuity that conventional chronology doesn't acknowledge. Modern attempts to understand Abu Rawash's original appearance through computer reconstruction have revealed a monument that differed significantly from other pyramids in both design and apparent function. The structure appears to have incorporated features that suggest technological rather than purely ceremonial purposes. The complexity of the reconstructed design exceeds what Bronze Age capabilities should have achieved. Dr. Valagya's decades of research at Abu Rawash have convinced him that the site represents something unique in pyramid archaeology. The monument appears to have been built using advanced techniques, served functions that differed from typical burial pyramids, and was deliberately dismantled by people who understood its true nature. The enigma of Abu Rawash continues to challenge assumptions about ancient capabilities and the true purposes of Egypt as most mysterious monuments. The scattered stones of Abu Rawash preserve secrets that may never be fully recovered, but their testimony suggests that human technological achievement in ancient times followed pathways more complex and sophisticated than conventional history recognizes. Beyond the familiar narratives of dynastic Egypt lies a possibility that both thrills and unsettles the imagination. What if the pyramid builders were not Egyptian at all, but representatives of a civilization so ancient and so sophisticated that their very existence has been erased from human memory? This shadow civilization would have emerged from the mists of prehistory, carrying knowledge and capabilities that seem almost supernatural when viewed against conventional understanding of ancient limitations. The timeline for such a civilization stretches back to periods when the world itself looked dramatically different. During the last glacial maximum, roughly 20,000 years ago, vast ice sheets covered much of the northern continents, while sea levels dropped over 400 feet below current levels. This transformed world would have revealed land bridges connecting continents, exposed coastal plains that are now underwater, and created climatic conditions that supported large populations in regions now barren or uninhabitable. Genetic evidence suggests that human populations during this period possessed greater diversity than previously understood. DNA analysis ancient remains reveals genetic markers that indicate sophisticated breeding populations, complex migration patterns, and evidence of advanced social organization extending much further back in time than conventional anthropology acknowledges. These genetic signatures hint at civilizations capable of supporting the large populations necessary for monumental construction projects. The technological capabilities attributed to this shadow civilization would have had to exceed those of any known ancient culture. Moving millions of massive stone blocks with millimeter precision requires engineering, knowledge that transcends simple mechanical advantage achieved through ramps and levers. The mathematical sophistication evident in pyramid proportions suggests educational systems capable of preserving and transmitting complex knowledge across generations. Archaeological anomalies worldwide support the possibility of such advanced ancient civilizations. Megalithic structures displaying impossible precision appear on every continent, often in locations that are now remote or difficult to access. The global distribution of these monuments suggests either remarkable parallel development or the influence of a civilization capable of worldwide travel and communication during periods when such achievement should not have been possible. Underwater archaeology has revealed submerged structures that date to periods when they would have been above sea level during the last ice age. These underwater ruins display architectural sophistication that challenges assumptions about prehistoric capabilities. The structures appear designed for purposes that extend beyond simple habitation, suggesting their builders possessed knowledge and intentions that conventional archaeology struggles to explain. The mathematical and astronomical knowledge preserved in pyramid construction implies educational traditions that required centuries or millennia to develop. Such sophisticated understanding doesn't emerge overnight, but represents the accumulated wisdom of many generations of observers, calculators, and engineers. The shadow civilization would have needed stable social institutions capable of preserving and refining knowledge across vast periods of time. Linguistic analysis reveals that many languages preserve root words and concepts that seem to reference common origins reaching back to periods before recorded history. These linguistic fossils suggest shared cultural traditions that once connected human populations across vast distances. The consistency of certain mathematical and astronomical concepts across isolated cultures implies either parallel development or inheritance from common sources. Climate data indicates that human civilization faced major disruptions during the Younger Dryas period, roughly 12,900 to 11,700 years ago. This climatic catastrophe, possibly triggered by cosmic impacts or volcanic activity, created conditions that would have devastated advanced civilizations while forcing surviving populations to rebuild from greatly reduced knowledge bases. The recovery from this catastrophe might explain why sophisticated capabilities appear suddenly in multiple locations around 5,000 years ago. The oral traditions of indigenous peoples worldwide preserve remarkably consistent accounts of advanced ancient peoples who possessed capabilities far exceeding those of later generations. These stories speak of master builders, wise teachers, and sophisticated technologies that were lost during great catastrophes. While conventional anthropology dismisses these accounts as mythology, their consistency across cultures, separated by oceans and millennia, suggests they may preserve genuine historical memories. Astronomical alignments in ancient monuments worldwide reference stellar positions that haven't occurred during recorded history. The precision of these alignments implies long-term observation programs extending across many generations. Such astronomical knowledge requires not just individual genius, but institutional continuity, capable of preserving observations and calculations across centuries of cultural transmission. The shadow civilization hypothesis provides explanations for numerous archaeological puzzles that conventional chronologies struggle to address. It accounts for the sudden appearance of sophisticated capabilities in multiple locations. It explains the mathematical and astronomical knowledge evident in ancient monuments. It provides time for the development of complex technologies and institutional knowledge that such achievements require. Evidence for such civilizations might have been systematically erased by the very catastrophes that ended their existence. Global climate disruptions, sea level changes, and geological upheavals would have destroyed most traces of ancient achievement, while forcing survivors to focus on immediate survival rather than preserving historical records. The monuments that survived would represent only the most durable remnants of once comprehensive civilizations. The possibility that human civilization has achieved greatness before suggests that our current technological trajectory may be following pathways explored by earlier peoples. The shadow civilizations might have faced similar challenges to those confronting modern society: environmental disruption, resource depletion, and the need to maintain complex knowledge systems across generational transitions. Modern discoveries continue to push back the timeline of human achievement, revealing capabilities and knowledge at increasingly ancient dates. Each new archaeological discovery, each refined dating technique, and each improved analysis method seems to extend the reach of human sophistication further into the past. The pattern suggests that civilization's roots ran much deeper than conventional academic wisdom acknowledges. The builders in the shadows left their greatest achievements in the most durable materials available to them. Stone monuments, precisely aligned with astronomical events, preserve their mathematical and engineering knowledge for future generations to discover. These ancient teachers understood that organic materials decay, metals corrode, and written records disappear, but stone structures can preserve information across geological time scales. If such civilizations existed, their legacy challenges humanity to reconsider not just the age of our achievements, but the cyclical nature of human development. Perhaps civilization doesn't progress in simple linear fashion from primitive to sophisticated, but follows more complex patterns of achievement, disruption, and recovery that extend across periods much longer than recorded history acknowledges. The shadows of the past may hold mirrors reflecting not just humanity's forgotten achievements, but templates for understanding both our current capabilities and our future potential. Approximately 12,900 years ago, something catastrophic happened to Earth. The evidence lies scattered across continents in layers of sediment that tell a story of sudden, dramatic change that affected the entire planet. This event, known as the Younger Dryas Impact Hypothesis, may hold the key to understanding not only the fate of advanced ancient civilizations, but also the true origins of monuments like the Great Pyramid. The geological evidence for this global catastrophe appears in what scientists call the black mat, a layer of sediment rich in nanodiamonds, cosmic dust, and other materials that could only have resulted from extraterrestrial impacts. This layer appears at precisely the same time worldwide, marking the boundary between the relatively warm conditions of the late Pleistocene and the sudden return to Ice Age conditions that characterized the Younger Dryas period. The impacts, likely from fragments of a disintegrating comet, would have created firestorms that swept across continents, melted massive ice sheets, and triggered tsunamis that reached far inland. The sudden melting of ice sheets would have raised sea levels rapidly while redirecting ocean currents, plunging the planet into a 1,000-year period of climatic chaos that tested human survival to its limits. Archaeological evidence suggests that this catastrophe coincided with the extinction of numerous large mammal species and the disappearance of the Clovis culture in North America. But more intriguingly, it also corresponds to the period when sophisticated construction capabilities seemed to vanish from the archaeological record worldwide, only to reappear thousands of years later in the monuments we attribute to early civilizations. The timing suggests a possibility that conventional archaeology has been reluctant to consider. What if advanced civilizations existed before the Younger Dryas catastrophe, and the monuments we study today were built by survivors attempting to preserve the knowledge and achievements of their devastated predecessors? The pyramid builders might have been not innovators, but conservators, struggling to maintain ancient wisdom in a world that had forgotten most of its technological heritage. Flood legends from cultures worldwide preserve remarkably consistent accounts of global destruction, followed by the need to rebuild civilization from scattered survivors. The biblical flood, the Mesopotamian epic of Gilgamesh Hindu, accounts of cyclical destructions, and Native American traditions of world-ending floods all describe similar scenarios. Advanced ancient peoples, destroyed by cosmic catastrophe, with only fragments of their knowledge preserved by small groups of survivors. The oral traditions often describe the survivors as possessing knowledge and capabilities that seemed miraculous to later generations. These stories speak of master builders who could move massive stones, wise teachers who understood the movements of stars, and keepers of ancient wisdom who worked to preserve essential knowledge for future generations. The consistency of these accounts across isolated cultures suggests they may preserve genuine historical memories. Ice core data reveals that the Younger Dryas period brought not just cold temperatures, but also extreme climatic instability. Temperatures fluctuated wildly, precipitation patterns shifted dramatically, and atmospheric conditions created challenges that would have tested the survival capabilities of even sophisticated civilizations. Only groups with advanced planning, resource management, and technological capabilities would have survived such conditions. The geographic distribution of surviving monuments correlates with areas that experienced the least severe impact from the Younger Dryas catastrophe. Regions like Egypt, which maintained relatively stable conditions during this period, preserved the most sophisticated ancient monuments. Areas that experienced the most severe climatic disruption show archaeological gaps that correspond precisely to the catastrophe timeline. Genetic studies reveal population bottlenecks in human DNA that date to the Younger Dryas period, suggesting that human populations worldwide suffered severe reductions during this time. The genetic evidence indicates that some populations were reduced to very small numbers before recovering and expanding during the more stable conditions that followed. These bottlenecks would have severely disrupted the transmission of complex cultural knowledge. The sophisticated astronomical knowledge evident in monuments like the Great Pyramid makes more sense if viewed as preserved wisdom from pre-catastrophe civilizations rather than original discoveries by post-catastrophe cultures. The mathematical relationships, stellar alignments, and geodetic knowledge encoded in these structures represent information that would have required many generations to develop and refine. Modern analysis of ancient construction techniques reveals evidence that builders were working from detailed plans and established procedures rather than experimenting with new technologies. The precision and consistency evident in pyramid construction suggests the builders were following time-tested methods developed through extensive experience. This pattern is more consistent with preserved ancient knowledge than with recent innovations. The materials and techniques used in pyramid construction show characteristics that suggest their origins in more resource-rich periods. The massive scale of construction projects, the variety of exotic materials employed, and the sophisticated logistics required all imply civilizations with access to resources and organizational capabilities that exceeded those typical of post-catastrophe recovery periods. Climate modeling indicates that the pre-Younger, Dryas world offered environmental conditions much more favorable for supporting large populations and complex civilizations. Warmer temperatures, higher sea levels, and more stable weather patterns would have created ideal conditions for the development of sophisticated cultures capable of monumental achievements. The sudden appearance of agricultural techniques, urban planning, and monumental architecture in multiple locations around 11,000 years ago suggests the reapplication of existing knowledge rather than independent innovation. The speed with which complex civilizations emerged from apparently primitive hunter-gatherer societies implies access to preserved information about advanced technologies and social organization. Archaeological evidence from sites like Göbekli Tepe reveals that some communities possessed sophisticated stoneworking capabilities immediately following the Younger Dryas period. The sudden appearance of such capabilities, without evidence of gradual development, suggests that knowledge survived the catastrophe in certain locations and was rapidly reapplied when conditions permitted. The cataclysm connection provides a framework for understanding how advanced ancient knowledge could have been preserved through periods of cultural disruption and technological regression. Small groups of survivors, carrying fragments of sophisticated understanding, would have established new communities where they attempted to reconstruct the achievements of their predecessors. The pyramid builders emerge in this scenario not as Bronze Age innovators, but as the inheritors of much older traditions, working to preserve and transmit knowledge that originated in civilizations whose existence has been largely erased by one of the greatest catastrophes in human history. Their monuments serve as time capsules, preserving information about human achievement that would otherwise have been lost forever. The connection between cosmic catastrophe and human civilization suggests that our species has faced and overcome challenges far more severe than anything in recorded history. The survival and preservation of advanced knowledge through such trials demonstrates resilience and determination that speaks to humanity's deepest strengths and highest aspirations. Dr. Sarah Johnson stood at the edge of Lake Megachad, its waters stretching to the horizon like an inland sea. But this wasn't the present. This was 8,000 years ago. And the Sahara Desert, as we know, it didn't exist. Instead, a vast green landscape of grasslands, forests, and flowing rivers supported millions of people in one of Earth's most vibrant civilizations. It was here, in this lost world, that the true story of the pyramids might have begun. The transformation had been dramatic and swift. Satellite imagery revealed the ghostly outlines of ancient river systems threading across what is now barren sand. The Sahara's dry valleys still bear the signatures of mighty rivers that once flowed year-round, fed by monsoons that brought life-giving rains across the entire region. Ground-penetrating radar confirmed that beneath the sand lay the remains of settlements, harbors, and even cities that had thrived when the desert was a garden. Archaeological evidence painted a picture of sophisticated societies that emerged during this African humid period. The people who lived in the Green Sahara developed complex pottery traditions, sophisticated tool technologies, and social organization capable of supporting large populations. Most intriguingly, they left behind rock art that depicted not just the animals and landscapes of their green world, but also architectural structures that resembled the monuments that would later appear in Egypt. The rock paintings at Tassili Najjar showed scenes that challenged conventional understanding of ancient African capabilities. Images depicted large-scale construction projects, sophisticated boats navigating vast waterways, and what appeared to be astronomical observations being conducted by groups of organized observers. The artistic style and subject matter suggested civilizations far more advanced than the simple pastoralist societies that conventional archaeology had assumed occupied the region. Pollen analysis from lake sediments revealed that the Green Sahara supported diverse ecosystems including cypress forests, oak woodlands, and extensive grasslands that could have sustained large populations of both humans and animals. The region would have been a paradise for early civilizations, offering abundant resources, reliable water supplies, and climatic conditions ideal for cultural development. The transition from green paradise to barren desert occurred with startling rapidity. Climate data indicated that the shift happened over just a few centuries, around 5,000 years ago, driven by changes in Earth's orbital patterns that altered monsoon circulation. The speed of this transformation would have created one of history's greatest refugee crises, forcing millions of people to abandon their homeland and seek new territories along river valleys like the Nile. Dr. Johnson's research focused on tracing the migration patterns of these climate refugees. Genetic studies revealed that populations throughout the Nile Valley showed ancestry markers consistent with origins in the western Sahara regions that had been most severely affected by desertification. The timing of these population movements corresponded precisely with the emergence of sophisticated civilizations in Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the Indus Valley. The knowledge carried by these migrants might explain the sudden appearance of advanced capabilities in Egyptian civilization. Instead of developing complex technologies gradually, Egyptian society seemed to emerge with sophisticated understanding of mathematics, astronomy, and engineering already in place. This pattern made more sense if viewed as the re-establishment of existing knowledge by experienced practitioners rather than original innovation by inexperienced cultures. Archaeological surveys have now buried Saharan sites, revealed evidence of monumental construction that predated known Egyptian pyramids. Ground-penetrating radar detected massive stone structures beneath the sand, built using techniques that matched those employed in later Egyptian monuments. The buried structures showed the same precision stone cutting, astronomical alignments, and complex internal architectures that characterize the Giza pyramids. The oral traditions of peoples throughout the Sahel region preserve detailed memories of the Green Sahara period. Stories spoke of great cities beside vast lakes, of master builders who could move massive stones, and of wise teachers who understood the movements of stars and planets. These traditions described the forced abandonment of the green lands and the migration to new territories, where the ancient knowledge was reapplied in new contexts. Hydrological studies revealed that the ancient Nile once connected with the river systems of the Green Sahara, creating a vast network of waterways that would have facilitated communication and transportation across the entire region. When the climate shifted and the Saharan rivers dried up, the Nile became an isolated system, but one that preserved access to some of the most sophisticated engineering knowledge developed during the Green Sahara period. The timing of major construction projects in Egypt correlated with the final phases of Saharan desertification. The most sophisticated pyramids appeared precisely when climate refugees would have been arriving in the Nile Valley, carrying knowledge and experience gained during centuries of advanced civilization in the Green Sahara. The monuments might represent the culmination of knowledge preservation efforts by displaced master builders. Botanical evidence from the pyramid sites revealed that some of the organic materials used in construction originated from plant species that grew in the Sahara during its green period, but were unnative to the Nile Valley. This suggested that either the materials were transported over vast distances, or that the construction techniques themselves had been developed in the Green Sahara and then applied using substitute materials in Egypt. The astronomical alignments of the pyramids made more sense when viewed from the perspective of the Green Sahara's geographic center. The stellar positions that the monuments reference were more precisely visible from latitudes corresponding to the ancient Saharan civilization centers than from the Egyptian locations where the monuments were actually built. This suggested that the astronomical knowledge had been developed elsewhere and then adapted to new geographic conditions. Dr. Johnson's research revealed that the story of the pyramids could not be separated from the story of climate change and human migration on a continental scale. The monuments that we associate with ancient Egypt might actually represent the final flowering of knowledge traditions that originated in a lost civilization that once thrived where now only sand and stone remain. The Green Sahara had been humanity's first great experiment with large-scale civilization, supporting millions of people in sophisticated societies that developed advanced knowledge over thousands of years. When climate change destroyed this world, the survivors carried their accumulated wisdom to new lands, where it formed the foundation for civilizations we know from recorded history. As she compiled her findings, Dr. Johnson realized that the desert sands had buried not just ancient cities, but an entire chapter of human achievement. The transformation of the Sahara from garden to wasteland had erased one of humanity's greatest civilizations, leaving only traces of its knowledge preserved in monuments built by its scattered descendants. Ancient Egyptian texts speak of a time before time, an era they called Zep Tepi, the first time, when gods walked directly among humans and established the foundations of all knowledge. According to these records, preserved in hieroglyphic inscriptions and papyrus scrolls spanning thousands of years, the monuments at Giza were not built by pharaohs, but by divine beings who possessed wisdom and capabilities far exceeding those of mortal humans. The pyramid texts, among humanity's oldest religious writings, describe the origins of Egyptian civilization in terms that have puzzled Egyptologists for over a century. These ancient inscriptions speak of the Neteru, divine beings who came from the stars and taught humanity the arts of civilization. They built the first temples, established the principles of sacred architecture, and created monuments that would serve as eternal links between Earth and the celestial realm. Thoth, the god of wisdom and writing, features prominently in these accounts as the architect of the great monuments. Described as possessing knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and sacred geometry that surpassed all human understanding, Thoth supposedly designed the pyramids to encode eternal truths about the nature of reality. The god's association with precise measurement and cosmic order aligns remarkably with the mathematical and astronomical sophistication evident in the actual monuments. The Turin King list and other ancient chronologies describe dynasties stretching back tens of thousands of years before the historical pharaohs. These lists begin with the reign of Ptah, the creator god who spoke the world into existence, followed by Re, Shu, Geb, and Osiris. The divine dynasties supposedly ruled for thousands of years each, during which they established the temples and monuments that later pharaohs would inherit and maintain. Osiris emerges as a particularly intriguing figure in these ancient accounts. Described as a divine king who ruled during the golden age of Egyptian civilization, Osiris supposedly established the knowledge and technologies that enabled the construction of the great monuments. His death and resurrection became the central myth of Egyptian religion. But the original accounts suggest he may have been based on memories of actual rulers from the distant past. The story of Osiris as dismemberment and reconstruction by Isis carries symbolic meanings that relate directly to the pyramid complexes. The scattered pieces of the god's body, hidden throughout Egypt, correspond to sacred sites where major monuments were later built. The reassembly of Osiris parallels the reconstruction of ancient knowledge by later generations who inherited fragments of a once complete understanding. Isis, the goddess of magic and wisdom, appears in these accounts as the preserver of ancient knowledge. She supposedly gathered the scattered wisdom of the first time and preserved it in sacred texts and monument designs that would survive through periods of cultural disruption. The goddess's association with stellar knowledge aligns with the astronomical sophistication evident in pyramid construction. The god Horus, son of Osiris and Isis, represents the continuation of divine knowledge into historical times. Ancient texts describe Horus as the first pharaoh, the bridge between the divine dynasties of the first time and the human rulers of recorded history. This transition might preserve memories of how ancient knowledge was passed from its original holders to later civilizations. The Edfu building texts, inscribed on the walls of the Temple of Horus, provide the most detailed ancient account of monument construction during the first time. These texts describe how divine beings established sacred sites throughout Egypt, creating a network of temples and monuments that functioned as a unified system for maintaining cosmic order. The descriptions include technical details about construction methods that align with evidence from actual pyramid sites. Imhotep, the legendary architect associated with the first pyramid at Saqqara, was later deified as a god of medicine and wisdom. Ancient accounts describe him not as an innovator, but as someone who rediscovered and applied knowledge from the first time. His elevation to divine status suggests that later Egyptians recognized his work as the restoration of ancient wisdom rather than original achievement. The concept of Mat, the cosmic principle of order and balance, features prominently in descriptions of first-time construction projects. The divine builders supposedly aligned their monuments with Mat, creating structures that maintained harmony between earth and heaven. This principle explains the astronomical alignments and mathematical relationships evident in pyramid construction as expressions of cosmic order rather than arbitrary design choices. Ancient texts describe the wisdom of the first time as being preserved in sacred writings hidden within the monuments themselves. The inventory of sacred books supposedly contained comprehensive knowledge about construction techniques, astronomical calculations, and spiritual principles that guided the divine builders. These hidden libraries might explain the ongoing discoveries of chambers and passages within pyramid structures. The Hermetic tradition, attributed to Thoth in his Greek form as Hermes Trismegistus, claims to preserve authentic wisdom from the first time. These texts describe advanced knowledge of alchemy, astronomy, and sacred geometry that aligns remarkably with the sophistication evident in pyramid construction. The tradition suggests that divine knowledge was intentionally preserved through symbolic and architectural encoding. The role of the Shamsu Hor, the followers of Horus, becomes crucial in understanding how first-time knowledge was transmitted to historical civilizations. These semi-divine beings supposedly served as intermediaries between the gods and humans, preserving and teaching ancient wisdom through the transitional periods that followed the departure of the divine dynasties. Modern analysis of ancient Egyptian religious concepts reveals consistent themes about the preservation and restoration of knowledge from a lost golden age. The emphasis on maintaining ancient traditions, restoring damaged monuments, and preserving sacred texts suggests that historical Egyptian civilization understood itself as the inheritor rather than the originator of its greatest achievements. The astronomical knowledge encoded in pyramid construction aligns with descriptions of divine wisdom in ancient texts. The gods supposedly understood the movements of stars and planets across vast cycles of time, knowledge that enabled them to create monuments that would maintain their astronomical relationships across millennia. This cosmic perspective matches the long-term planning evident in actual pyramid design. The mythological accounts of the first time might preserve genuine historical memories of advanced ancient civilizations expressed in religious language. The gods could represent highly advanced human societies whose capabilities seemed divine to later, less sophisticated cultures. The divine dynasties might preserve chronological information about periods when such civilizations flourished in Egypt or nearby regions. The consistency of these accounts across thousands of years of Egyptian civilization suggests they preserved information that the Egyptians themselves considered historically accurate. Rather than dismissing these texts as pure mythology, modern research might benefit from examining them as potential sources of information about prehistoric achievement that has been preserved in religious and symbolic form. The gods of the first time challenge us to reconsider the relationship between mythology and history, between religious narrative and preserved memory. Their stories might encode information about human achievement that predates recorded history, preserved in symbolic form by civilizations that understood the monuments they inherited as links to a time when humanity achieved greatness under divine guidance. As we venture into the most speculative realm of pyramid theories, we encounter a possibility that has captivated imaginations while challenging the very foundations of human history. What if the mathematical precision, astronomical knowledge, and engineering capabilities evident in the Great Pyramid reflect not human achievement, but guidance from intelligences whose origins lie beyond Earth itself? This extraterrestrial hypothesis, while controversial, addresses anomalies that conventional archaeology struggles to explain. The precision evident in pyramid construction exceeds what should have been achievable with Bronze Age technology by margins that suggest either impossible coincidence or access to advanced knowledge from external sources. Tolerances measured in millimeters across structures weighing millions of tons require surveying capabilities, cutting techniques, and construction methods that seem to transcend the technological limitations of ancient civilizations. The astronomical alignments encoded in pyramid architecture demonstrate knowledge of celestial mechanics that would not be formally rediscovered until modern times. The monuments track stellar positions across precession cycles spanning 26,000 years, encoding information about Earth's place in cosmic systems that ancient peoples supposedly couldn't have known. Such comprehensive astronomical knowledge might indicate contact with intelligences possessing advanced understanding of cosmic mechanics. The mathematical constants preserved in pyramid proportions pi, the golden ratio, and relationships referencing Earth's dimensions appear with accuracy that exceeds what Bronze Age mathematics should have achieved. These relationships suggest access to mathematical knowledge that either developed much earlier than conventional timelines indicate or was provided by sources possessing advanced mathematical understanding. Ancient texts from multiple cultures describe contact with beings from the sky who provided humanity with advanced knowledge. Sumerian accounts speak of the Anunnaki, described as those who came from heaven to earth. Egyptian texts reference the Neteru, divine beings associated with stars and cosmic knowledge. These descriptions, consistent across isolated cultures, might preserve memories of actual contact events rather than purely mythological narratives. The global distribution of sophisticated monuments displaying similar mathematical and astronomical principles suggests either remarkable parallel development or influence from sources with worldwide reach. The consistency of pyramid building traditions across continents separated by vast oceans implies either advanced ancient transportation capabilities or guidance from intelligences with global access and influence. Modern analysis of ancient artwork reveals depictions that some researchers interpret as representations of advanced technology or non-human intelligences. Egyptian hieroglyphs include symbols that resemble technological devices, while temple reliefs show figures with characteristics that don't match normal human anatomy. While mainstream archaeology interprets these as symbolic representations, alternative analysis suggests they might depict actual contact events. The engineering capabilities evident in pyramid construction include techniques that conventional archaeology cannot adequately explain. The precision cutting of granite blocks, the handling of massive stones through narrow passages, and the achievement of tolerances that challenge modern equipment suggest either forgotten human technologies or assistance from sources possessing advanced capabilities. The sudden appearance of sophisticated knowledge in multiple ancient civilizations occurs within timeframes that seem too compressed for independent development. The rapid emergence of complex mathematics, astronomy, and engineering across isolated cultures might indicate external knowledge transfer rather than gradual indigenous development. Acoustic properties discovered in pyramid chambers create resonant effects that seem designed for purposes beyond human ceremony. The frequencies generated within these spaces correspond to ranges that might serve communication purposes or interact with technology in ways that ancient humans couldn't have anticipated. These characteristics suggest the monuments might have been designed for functions that transcend their apparent burial purposes. The electromagnetic anomalies detected within pyramid structures include effects that do and match the properties of simple stone construction. Unusual electrical activity, magnetic field variations, and metallic components embedded within limestone blocks suggest technological elements that exceed what Bronze Age builders should have incorporated into their monuments. Chemical analysis of pyramid construction materials reveals trace elements and alloy compositions that shouldn't have been available to ancient civilizations. These exotic materials, found in precisely engineered contexts, suggest either advanced ancient metallurgy or incorporation of substances provided by sources with superior material science capabilities. The preservation of advanced knowledge across the catastrophic disruptions that affected ancient civilizations requires explanation beyond normal cultural transmission. The survival of sophisticated information through periods of social collapse and environmental disaster might indicate external preservation and reintroduction of knowledge by intelligences not subject to terrestrial limitations. The scale of planning evident in pyramid construction implies coordination across time periods that exceed normal human institutional continuity. Projects spanning centuries or millennia require organizational structures capable of maintaining consistency across many generations. Such long-term planning might indicate guidance from intelligences with extended lifespans or different temporal perspectives. Modern UFO phenomena, while controversial, includes reports of objects displaying flight characteristics that exceed known terrestrial technology. If such phenomena represent genuine encounters with non-human intelligences, it establishes precedent for extraterrestrial contact that might extend back to ancient times. Historical contact events might have influenced ancient monument construction in ways that conventional archaeology doesn't acknowledge. The mathematical relationships encoded in pyramid construction include constants that reference cosmic scales and universal physical properties. Knowledge of these relationships suggests understanding of physics and astronomy that reaches beyond terrestrial observation capabilities. Such comprehensive cosmic knowledge might indicate contact with intelligences possessing advanced scientific understanding. Scientific research into the possibility of extraterrestrial intelligence has identified numerous star systems that could potentially support advanced civilizations. The age of the universe allows for the development of intelligences millions of years ahead of human civilization. Such advanced civilizations might have achieved interstellar travel capabilities that would enable contact with developing worlds like ancient Earth. The extraterrestrial hypothesis provides explanations for pyramid anomalies that conventional archaeology finds difficult to address. It accounts for the precision that exceeds ancient technological capabilities, the knowledge that predates its supposed discovery, and the global consistency that transcends ancient communication limitations. While speculative, this hypothesis offers a framework for understanding achievements that seem impossible within conventional historical timelines. Whether extraterrestrial contact actually influenced pyramid construction remains unprovable with current evidence. However, the persistent anomalies evident in these monuments continue to challenge our understanding of ancient capabilities and the development of human knowledge. The possibility of external influence forces consideration of humanity's place within broader cosmic communities and the potential for knowledge exchange across species and worlds. The visitors from the sky, whether real or imagined, represent humanity's recognition that the achievements preserved in stone monuments transcend the limitations that conventional history assigns to ancient civilizations. These monuments challenge us to expand our understanding of what ancient peoples could accomplish and to consider possibilities that reach beyond terrestrial explanation into the vast realm of cosmic potential. The sun sets behind the Great Pyramid as it has for over 4 millennia, casting the same long shadows that have marked the passage of countless days and nights. In this moment of transition between day and darkness, the monument seems to pulse with accumulated mystery, holding secrets that have survived pharaohs and empires, conquerors and scholars, believers and skeptics. If these stones could speak, what stories would they tell of their true origins and purposes? Standing in the shadow of this ancient colossus, one cannot escape the weight of all the questions it raises about human history and capability. Every precisely cut block, every mathematically perfect angle, every astronomically aligned passage challenges our assumptions about what ancient peoples could achieve. The monument exists as a testament to possibilities that conventional archaeology struggles to explain and history books haven't learned to acknowledge. The evidence accumulated throughout this investigation paints a picture far more complex and intriguing than the simple narrative of Bronze Age pharaohs building tombs for their eternal glory. The mathematical sophistication, the astronomical knowledge, the engineering precision, the acoustic properties, the electromagnetic anomalies, all these factors combine to suggest that the Great Pyramid represents something far more extraordinary than a burial monument built by ancient Egyptians using crude tools and human labor. If the pyramid predates dynastic Egypt, as geological evidence suggests, then human civilization has achieved greatness at times and in places that our historical timeline doesn't acknowledge. The monument would represent the work of a forgotten people who understood mathematics, astronomy, and engineering principles that wouldn't be formally rediscovered for millennia. Their achievement would demonstrate that human intellectual capability has depths that span much further back in time than we commonly believe. If the pyramid was built by survivors of a lost civilization, carrying forward knowledge from an even more remote past, then the monument serves as a bridge across catastrophic disruptions that erased most traces of humanity as earlier achievements. The builders would have been refugees from paradise, masters of ancient wisdom working to preserve essential knowledge in the most durable form. Available to them massive stone structures aligned with eternal astronomical cycles. If extraterrestrial contact influenced pyramid construction, then the monument represents humanity's earliest collaborative achievement with intelligences from beyond Earth. Such contact would place human development within a cosmic context, suggesting that our species has received guidance that accelerated our technological and intellectual development beyond what isolated planetary evolution might have achieved. Each of these possibilities challenges fundamental assumptions about human history, ancient capabilities, and the development of civilization itself. The conventional narrative of gradual progress from primitive hunter-gatherers to sophisticated urban societies may obscure a more complex story of achievement, loss, rediscovery, and preservation that spans vast periods of time and involves capabilities that we're only beginning to understand. The mystery extends beyond the Great Pyramid to encompass the entire constellation of unexplained ancient monuments worldwide. From the precision stonework of Sacsayhuaman to the astronomical alignments of Angkor Wat, from the massive stones of Baalbek to the sophisticated engineering of Göbekli Tepe, evidence suggests that ancient peoples achieved technological and intellectual heights that exceed conventional historical acknowledgement. Perhaps most importantly, these monuments preserve their secrets in the most permanent form available to their builders. While organic materials decay, metals corrode, and written records disappear, massive stone structures can preserve information across geological timescales. The pyramid builders, whoever they were, created monuments designed to outlast their civilization and communicate across the vast expanses of time with future peoples, capable of understanding their message. The mathematical relationships encoded in the pyramid's proportions, the astronomical alignments built into its orientation, the acoustic properties designed into its chambers, and the electromagnetic effects generated by its structure all suggest that the monument functions as a comprehensive information storage and transmission device. It preserves and communicates knowledge about mathematics, astronomy, physics, and engineering in ways that transcend language barriers and cultural differences. Modern technology continues to reveal new secrets within the pyramid structure. Each advancement in scanning techniques, each improvement in measurement precision, and each new analytical method discovers additional layers of sophistication that the monument's builders incorporated into their design. The pyramid seems designed to yield its secrets gradually as humanity develops the technological capability to understand increasingly subtle aspects of its construction. The preservation of this knowledge in stone form demonstrates remarkable foresight by its builders. They understood that civilizations rise and fall, that knowledge can be lost during periods of catastrophe and disruption, and that only the most durable materials and most enduring locations could preserve essential information across the vast cycles of human development and decline. The location chosen for the Great Pyramid, on solid bedrock at the geometric center of the land masses, protected by the dry Egyptian climate, positioned for optimal astronomical observation, suggests its builders understood that they were creating something meant to last for millennia. They placed their monument where it would survive floods, earthquakes, and climatic changes while remaining accessible to future civilizations capable of appreciating its significance. As we stand before this ancient achievement, we face questions that reach far beyond archaeology and ancient history. What other capabilities might human consciousness possess that we haven't fully recognized? How much knowledge might be preserved in monuments we haven't yet learned to read properly? What other achievements might lie buried beneath the accumulated sand and sediment of ages? The Great Pyramid stands as proof that human achievement has dimensions we're still learning to appreciate. It challenges us to expand our understanding of what our species has accomplished, what we might accomplish again, and what knowledge might be waiting for rediscovery in the monuments our ancestors left for us to find. Perhaps the most profound lesson the pyramid teaches is about the cyclical nature of human achievement and the importance of preserving knowledge for future generations. The monument serves as both an inspiration and a warning inspiration about the heights human intelligence and capability can reach, and warning about how quickly such achievements can be forgotten if not carefully preserved. In the end, the mystery of the Great Pyramid reflects the mystery of human potential itself. The monument stands as testament to capabilities that seem almost superhuman when viewed against conventional understanding of ancient limitations. It suggests that our species has achieved greatness before, that knowledge and wisdom run deeper in human history than we commonly acknowledge, and that the future might hold the rediscovery of capabilities we thought were forever lost. As the stars appear in the darkening sky above Giza, the same stars that guided the pyramid's builders align in patterns that have remained constant across the millennia. The monument continues its eternal watch, preserving in stone the memory of human achievement that reaches beyond the boundaries of recorded history into realms of possibility that challenge everything we thought we knew about our past. The sand continues to blow across the plateau, carrying with it the whispers of ages. But the pyramid endures its secrets intact, waiting for humanity to develop the wisdom to understand fully what our ancestors achieved in that distant time when stone was made to speak across the centuries, preserving for us the memory of capabilities we are only beginning to rediscover. What if the pyramids were never built by the Egyptians? Then they represent something far more extraordinary, proof that human achievement has depths we have barely begun to explore, and that the greatest discoveries about our past may still lie waiting beneath the sand and monuments that have been hiding their true stories in plain sight for thousands of years. If you've journeyed with us through these layers of mystery and possibility, consider sharing this exploration with others who might find themselves drawn to questions that reach beyond conventional answers. The greatest discoveries often begin with the willingness to question what we think we know, and the pyramid's secrets are vast enough to reward continued investigation by curious minds willing to look beyond the surface of accepted history.